So when I took my mom to the awards, Christian Bale was there, and we got a chance to say a few words. And my mom was like, "I just want you to know, I so much love you in Newsies and Swing Kids."
He's not in Newsies, right?
And what was his response?
He's in Newsies. He's in Newsies, and his response was, "Those aren't usually the movies that people talk to me about."
Welcome to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins.
This is Chris Atkins from Cinemasins, joined as always by the voice of Cinemasins, Jeremy Scott.
Oh, hey.
And from Music Video Sins, Barrett Scher.
Hey.
And we have the rest of the crew, the so-called B crew, with us today because we're here at Sin Week and we're doing a podcast for the masses. And so we have Danae Hughes.
Hello.
We have Aaron Dicer.
Hi, Italy host.
And we have Jonathan Watkins.
Hello.
All from the things. Yeah, from all the things.
Yeah, we do things.
So how do we start off? Is anybody pissed off about something? Like really, really angry about it?
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
I'm as mad as hell!
You've never seen me very upset.
Like really angry?
You just want.
I could pretend to be really angry.
Yeah, I mean, you just be mad, man.
This is the lamest rant to start the rant section ever. Because
what is it about people putting shopping carts up or something?
No, but my rant for today is restaurant-based. Don't take my cup away. Just don't take my cup away. This happens in my favorite Mexican restaurant.
Why are you wearing a cup to the restaurant?
I need a refill on Coke. They come to the table, pick up my glass, and leave, and then return with a new glass, or it's the same glass.
A waiter there?
What?
Is Mexican Cary Grant a waiter there?
No.
Yes.
No one's going to know what you're talking about.
I know that's the best thing. The people that were at our table.
This is my thing. Just bring me a new glass. Don't take my glass. I don't know what's happening with that glass when you take it away. And if you do multiple people at a table and the waiter takes two glasses away, and one's diet and one's regular, fuck that. How am I going to know you got it right? How am I going to know you got the straws in the right places? I don't want the germs. Don't take my cup away.
That was like a slam poetry moment.
Yeah.
Start with the thesis, end with "Don't take my cup away."
After our lunch today, I could have stood somebody taking Jonathan's cup away.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Y'all,
Are you dry
Jonathan,
yet?
I know. I'm still wet.
Oh, okay.
I'm still very, very wet.
Yeah.
he had an entire glass of diet. Was it
No,
Coke?
just Coke, yeah.
That he literally poured all over.
Yeah,
It was good. It was good. We got coked out.
Adamant discussion. No, I don't even know what we're talking about.
Coke.
There you go. Follow that rant.
And then Chris just goes, "That's what you get for talking with your hands."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like that Aaron was like, "What did I do to you, Jonathan?" Or no, wait, I'm sorry.
You guys have all been to Nashville, right? Couple times. Okay. I mean, you understand that everybody who's not from Nashville should understand that the size of Nashville is the exact same as it was when we had less people here.
That is true.
And every time more people come in, what is the response? Let's build more of this condo so more people can show up and everything. But they never do anything about the roads. They never do anything about the roads at all, man. They need to be bigger. They need to have more space. They need to have better light system. They have to have a lot of, infrastructure things.
Yeah.
This is what I'm tired of in Nashville, man. I can't drive around anywhere anymore. And I'm happy for the growth. I'm happy for the restaurants it's been bringing. I'm happy for all these new little, things that we don't have before. It's all through here. But, man, it's impossible to drive through here anymore. And I know this is just like every other town that grows and they have the big traffic problems. We're not L.A., but we're getting close to freaking L.A. at this point because they just won't build anything new for us to go down, or they just won't make anything flow a lot better. And so there you go.
Because the mayor slept with her security guard.
Yeah, exactly.
We had a transit plan, man. It was going to be rad. We had like an underground bus station and shit. It was going to be awesome.
And then our mayor got caught sleeping with somebody in a cemetery.
In a cemetery.
And,
on the clock.
And then it suddenly became a bad idea to have.
Yeah, and then all of her opponents used that to kick her out of office, and we dropped the transit plan. Now, my big thing is, because I live north of the city, and just for fun, if you want to experience my life, don't do this. When this is done at about, what do you think?
I would
o'clock?
say like Tuesday.
4:30, 5 o'clock. Drive north on 65 and see how long it takes you to go 15 miles, because it'll be an hour. And I think everybody in the government of Nashville ought to have to drive that drive every fucking day until they fix this shit.
24 is the same.
Oh, it's annoying. And I've lived here for 20 years. I've gotten to see it go from okay, I can get places to now I can't.
Yeah, and they do this thing where I remember I'm in a fairly new house, and there was talk about like we might need to expand the street, we need to get a traffic light where we're at, and all this other stuff. And I'm hearing that they declared it not feasible because of a traffic thing that they did 3 years ago.
Before the houses were even built.
Yeah, exactly. So it's stuff like that, and I know that this isn't movie related, and I would like to have a movie rant, but I've extinguished all my movie theater rants that I have.
I never noticed this until I moved to Missouri, and I don't know if it's like a geographical thing or whatever. And I'm really curious because the conversations I have, people disagree with me on this. So I'm curious, like if I'm in the minority or the majority here. But when you're on a road and you're getting ready to turn right, let's say onto another road, it's a 2-lane road, so traffic going both ways, but there's a decent shoulder on the side. Now, this shoulder has the rumble strip on it. You know, it's an emergency shoulder if you need to pull off. Well, right by our road, people will get into the shoulder like 100 feet back from the turn and then turn from the shoulder. And if you don't do that, they will honk at you and act like you're like slowing their day down or something. And
They
I'm
created their own law.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's not how driving works. You don't get to invent your own lanes. Like that's not.
There's an opening in a turning lane. That's where you're supposed to go into the turning lane.
Right?
It's very
yeah.
simple.
So,
Well, I will say this: there's always two sides to this. Now, how deep back in traffic do you have to be before you decide I'm going to go ahead and use the available space?
when the rumble strip ends, that's where I turn.
Okay, yeah,
So-
rumble strip for sure. I wouldn't want to drive across that.
So yeah,
But
so I
it's
would.
so fun.
Yeah, Danae's one of those that's been keeping you from,
The other thing about it is, and we all notice this in different ways, but why are people in such how much time are you saving by me turning earlier so that you can get past me or whatever? I had somebody. 2 of my sons are learning to drive right now, and so they're taking it slow and figuring it out. So they're going the speed limit. They're not going more than the speed limit. Maybe they're going, about 5 less than the speed limit. And people get mad if you're not going the speed limit. Come up to a left turn to get in the left turn lane, and people will zoom by them and then cut in front of them in the left turn lane.
Oh, that's not cool.
Well, I'm just saying, it's like where everybody seems to be like, where are they in a hurry to go?
I will say this: I've as someone who has rants of his own in cars all the time. I always think about it's not really about the getting there faster. It's more about the comfort that you have when you're driving. So that's why you have people who are like doing all this nonsense where like it doesn't really get them there faster, but their car at least feels like it's going. So they justify a lot of stupid things in traffic based on that and everything.
Well, I will drive 10 miles out of my way to get home and actually move the whole time, rather than sit and stand still traffic for like 1 mile.
Have I told you the amusement park story? Have I told this story before? When I used to go to Cedar Point, which was the amusement park of choice where I was from, I would, with that theory, want to keep moving in the line. I hated the start and stop. So I'd let a little distance build up between the person in front of me, and I'd just keep walking really slowly. Eventually that distance would, build up to a little bit. But that's okay, because it's going to stop. I'm going to catch up. That distance built up enough. There was maybe like 4 people between me, and people jumped over the stanchion to get in front of me because they could not stand the fact. Like everybody was ticked at me for doing that. It's just human nature's funny, man. It's weird.
We don't view other people as human beings. We view other people as video game characters.
Yeah.
Thanks to Grand Theft Auto, and just like, fuck you. It's all about me. I got to get
Westworld,
where I'm going.
man. It's all Westworld.
Do you hate me
No, I
now
like the Grand Theft
because
Auto.
I am the person that gets in that lane?
No,
do that.
is it a Missouri thing? I'm serious. Like everybody, like I feel like I'm in the minority where we're from. That this is a thing that most people do. They get in the.
But it's for me, not for other people.
Right.
Like I would rather be over because there's this one turn near your house, and I go there a lot because that's where the studio is. But there's this one turn where it's a pretty it's a 2-lane, but it's a highway type thing. So people are like whizzing by, and it's a wide like shoulder. And so I just get over in the shoulder and then just slow down slowly and then turn, and people whiz by me. And I prefer that over slowing down and having these huge trucks. Now, I'm driving a clown car, like this tiny little thing, so maybe that's part of it.
I mean, the point is, like...
I didn't realize I was making you upset.
No.
This whole
I have
time.
no problem if you...
I'm so sorry.
It's the amount of clowns that are in your car that's freaking him out.
I have no problem if for your personal convenience you like to break the law. That doesn't bother me at all. My problem is that the people behind me are mad at me for not breaking the law.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I'm not mad at you for doing it.
Conform.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of us.
One of them get pulled over. I mean, I've gotten a ticket for doing that shit, so it can happen.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I got a ticket once because I didn't want to sit at a red light, so I pulled into a Wendy's and went around the back and then turned right out of the Wendy's.
Yeah, they'll get you for that.
Oh, that's somebody looking for something.
Yeah,
I mean, I was a snotty little teenager, too. I was like 17. I was like, what's the law I broke? I'm allowed to turn into Wendy's. What if I just changed my mind and didn't want a burger anymore? He still gave me a ticket.
Mm-hmm. Your approach was fantastic in
Yeah,
response.
it
So
usually works.
You probably said, look, asshole.
Listen, pig.
Yep.
Asshole.
Get your wheezy dick.
Wheezy dick out of my face. Rant me, somebody.
I want to talk about bathrooms. Okay, so airport. We just went to see The Hunt yesterday at the Hollywood 27, where we're going to see our movie tonight.
The Helen Hunt?
Yeah, the Helen Hunt. It's very, it's very erotic. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, so the Hollywood 27 has perfectly fine bathrooms, except for the hand dryers. Okay, so you do your thing. It's got the motionless or the motion activated sink and all that stuff. You're all cleaned up. You've sang happy birthday and stuff like that. And then you go over, and there's this single stream jet engine that's going like, doesn't do shit. So I was like, hey, what's the best hand drying experience outside of paper towels, which probably isn't good for the environment and stuff like that. So I thought about airports, right? But they've got the Dyson dryers, the little blade things that you go back and forth.
Yeah.
How is that hygienic?
It's not.
Because I'm always, I don't have
We've
normal
talked about
size
this
hands.
so many
I'm
times.
always bumping other sides of it. So I walk out with hands that are wet, and yeah.
Just trying to enjoy the Helen Hunt? Your hands are wet?
The other thing, and I don't know if I'm the only person that this affects or this bothers, but why don't all restaurant bathrooms open from the inside? Because you've washed your hands, you've done your business and everything, and then probably 80% of doors require you to grab the handle and pull back like that. What sense does that make? It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. I think it's more about the people who could be outside. There's more people that are probably outside that could get hit by the door than...
I see a lot of people grab a paper towel, though, and open it that way. Or
I know.
Yeah.
But if you don't have paper towel,
Toilet
because
paper.
it's a toilet paper,
You can grab pieces.
I'm going to go into the fucking stall and unload a bunch of toilet paper to open the goddamn door.
Well, you only
Fuck
need,
out of
like,
here with your toilet
You
paper.
could do what
one fly.
You do what
I'm not saying
you do what
need to
Leo does in The Aviator, where you just fucking wait. You clean your hands, you stand by the door and wait for somebody to come in, and then you slink out.
That's not a bad idea.
There you go.
How much coverage on your hands do you need to open a door, though? You would only need like 2-ply.
Dude, things are infecting us and stuff like that. I don't want to get my shit touching things. When I see a door that opens from the inside, I take a second and I thank God. I say, wow, this is a nice moment. And then I lean my shoulder in and I open that motherfucker.
Yep.
And
Or you can use your toe.
And then you're gonna dislocate your shoulder. You'd be like
Opening a door.
you're gonna be like Lethal Weapon, like Riggs and Lethal Weapon, like you
Yeah.
have to bump your shoulder back up. And I just turned this into a weird.
It's
thing.
exactly like Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
Do you have a rant?
Yeah, if you had a mullet, it would be a lot like Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, I'm growing it out right now.
Sure. I mean, not horribly like upset by it, but there was an article that this is actually TV at least. There was an article that The Ringer, who I am losing so much interest in over the last
The
few
website?
months. Yeah, just the stuff that's written on there. I don't know. I just don't agree with a lot of it. That's fine. But there was an article written. It was a review of Amazing Stories, which shout out to Jeremy Semser, our good friend. He works on that show, or he did work on that show. And they released the first episode on Apple TV a couple weeks ago, or last week. I watched it. It was okay. But the person in the article didn't like it, which is fine. But in that review decided to go on a rant about how the only television they should be making is like serialized. Like, we shouldn't have, like, procedurals, and we shouldn't have... Basically, what she was initially saying that anthologies don't work.
What?
Yeah. They don't work today. Like, we have no business having anthology shows today.
Sure. Yeah, Black Mirror is not
Well,
popular
where
at
did
all.
where does that come
like
from?
Fargo or something would technically be an anthology.
That's your hot take society, right?
Yeah.
Where it's let's take some indefensible position
It's
and
the
argue
weird.
for
It was just the weird.
I hate
and
air.
this is like a, and this is a fairly major publication too. Like, that was what was kind of getting. This wasn't just like we've got you covered.com or whatever.
Love that website.
Do you really?
No.
Is that an actual website?
Yeah, they have a lot of wrong takes, and like they do a lot of clickbait that is bullshit. But the Ringer's not like that. I mean, these are supposed to be like, but I don't know. I just thought that was weird. I mean, review the show, fine, but I just didn't understand the idea, because I think anything can work. And it's not even one of those arguments where if they're making this, they're not making that, because there's like 8,000 TV shows.
You can't make that argument at all anymore.
Yeah,
They're making anything you want that's good can be made at this point.
Exactly. And I mean, we're still not even done with streaming. We got Quibi coming out in a couple weeks. We got Warner, HBO Max.
Yeah.
The
Quibi.
quick one, the Quibi. It's like the 10
minutes or less.
They're like remaking The Fugitive, and
I actually think 10 minutes or less episodes is both genius and stupid. I can't wait to see what that one does. They got all kinds of money, man.
Yeah, they got a lot of backing. I think I responded to you on Twitter about that because I actually think the exact opposite. I mean, there was a day not too long ago when the serialized TV show was The Stranger, right? Like, it was, when X-Files started doing serialized stuff in the X-Files as opposed to Monster of the Week, that was kind of different and fresh and new. There's always been some serialized stuff. Anymore, you have to watch every episode of a show to get it, and I'm exhausted. I'm not gonna lie. It's why I like watching reality television. It's why I like watching comedies sometimes, because it's not so exhausting. I don't have to remember, everything about all the plot lines.
And not every show opens itself up well for serialized television.
Right, yeah.
Like, I mean, they're HBO or Showtime's doing like a Perry Mason show like that, which, I mean, maybe that'll work, but that seems like a case of the week kind of.
Yeah,
like
give
that
me a
seems
case
like
of the week. Yeah, so I can just tune in and have a good time that week.
So I don't know. I don't understand. I just, like I said, I think you can make whatever work as long as it's good. I don't think it matters what the style of it is. And the idea that we have like many different styles to choose from, I mean, that's awesome, because an anthology is great, because I can just watch a 30-minute show and not have to go beyond that if I don't want to, or that week or whatever.
Yeah.
Danae,
What? I didn't do it.
do you have something that you're mad about?
Always. Right now, I'm raging about recipes. I actually was going to talk about a restaurant experience, and then I was going to talk about a bathroom experience, but then I just feel like it's repeating itself. And as you've been talking, I realized that I have this anger inside of me about the specific way websites are built, and it's been there for a long time, and now I can talk about it in a way that matters. So I'm going to do that.
All right.
So recipe websites are usually blogs by people who know how to cook. I don't, and so I'm learning. And so you go to their websites, and they will write about everything in their fucking lives.
Yeah.
And they won't talk.
I like this. I like this rant a lot.
They will not talk about the fucking recipe.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, yeah, this garlic sesame chicken. Hell yeah. Oh, and it's an Instant Pot. I have one of those. Oh shit, I have all the ingredients according to like the little click thing. And you click on it, and then it's like, of course, it's got all the ads and stuff. But it's like, my mother and I went walking one day, and we were talking about
when I was a young boy.
Yeah. I'm like,
The
okay.
smell of granola
Scroll.
would waft in through the window.
And then they fool you, and there's a picture of what's coming later. There's a picture of the food as it's completed, and it's delicious looking. You're like, okay, coming up. Here we go. Next paragraph. So then I was in Spain. And you're like, okay. So then you keep scrolling. And then suddenly you're like, oh, so now we're breaking it down. But then they start breaking it down about like, the mise en place start, okay, now you're going to chop up your vegetables, which reminds me of a time that I picked up my child in childcare one day, and I was talking to Lisa. I'm like, oh my geez.
Yeah,
so then like
it's
you
a
keep going.
format.
Yeah. You have to go all the way down to the bottom, and they always have, and this is the tip. The tip is they always have something that's printable, but it's at the very, very bottom.
Yeah.
And it has everything you need. It's an actual fucking recipe.
Yeah.
It's just has the ingredients, has how to put it together, has how long it's supposed to be, and it's like this little card, and you're supposed to be able to print it. So you can skip the blog and go to that, but it's getting through all that bullshit first.
Yeah.
So
Go
this
ahead.
must be like
It's
an
so
SEO
frustrating.
type thing, because if you search for like, is there an end credit scene for this movie? you will the top thing will often you'll click it and it'll be like, if you're wondering if there's an end credit scene for such and such a movie.
Okay, so I was just about to pivot her rant to this rant.
Yeah.
That entertainment articles will now take one sentence of new information and write 6 paragraphs about it. So, like, if somebody new tweets about the Snyder Cut, and you click on a Deadline article, and it will say, Justice League has been a movie that people have been talking about for the last 2 years, ever since it came out.
But before we talk about
the director was replaced by that, and they give you the whole fucking Wikipedia about the movie, and then at the very end, they're like, "Oh, and now Ben Affleck tweeted the Snyder Cut." Have a nice. That's not an article, but this is the age we live in that they don't get a click if they don't have an article, and if they put the information in the headline, you will not click. And so they have to do that.
It's the scrolling, too. I think Google somehow prioritizes the time you spend on the article, the amount that you scroll. Like that there's benefit to making sure people are there longer.
Well, there's more ads you can see, because the further down you go, the more ads you see on the sides or in the middle or wherever.
But you're definitely right about recipes.
Oh, it's so frustrating.
When I tried to make that Ramdan from Parasite, I had watched several videos and read several articles, but I couldn't find one that I could just fucking follow the basic recipe. Everybody was trying to tell me a story. One on one of the Gawker blogs opened up with a story about working at a hotel and eating some oyster mushrooms after some Arab guy checked out of his room. Only so that 8 paragraphs later they could say, "I put some oyster mushrooms in my Ramdan."
Right.
I'm like, fuck you. Yes. Tell me the ingredients. God, it's such a good rant.
Hey, thank you. Thanks.
We saved the best for last, I think.
We saved the whole podcast with that rant right there.
Probably. Okay, so we're going to go on to our recommends and warns now, and I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff that you guys have seen over the past few weeks that you would love to. No, not Danae.
No, of course not. No, I have one. Yeah. I'm ready. I prepared.
Okay. Why don't you start? Go ahead. Give us something.
Shit.
Yeah, right?
Cool. So it's like you can recommend and warn at the same time, yeah?
Okay. It's called a rec-a-warn.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right, that makes sense. So this is going to be a repeat one for BTS listeners, but I want to rec-a-warn a Dungeons & Dragons podcast.
Oh.
Is that something I can do?
Sure.
Okay, it's too late. I already did it. So because I think that this is like an area of entertainment that not a lot of people understand, and I think that's what's interesting to me, is that I would rather, instead of like having a television show or something just playing in the background, this is my form of entertainment. And it's because nobody knows what's going to happen next. Or like in TV or movies,
it's your sports.
Somebody has written it. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You don't know. Everyone's coming to the table to play, but nobody knows how it's going to go. But you kind of couple that with this wave of podcasts and YouTube shows, and you couple it with people who are really great storytellers and improvisationalists, and you can get some really great storytelling and shenanigans and fun, and it's super entertaining. And so there's this way of thinking about D&D, and the fear I think most people have before like listening to a podcast or whatever is that it's going to be boring and long, because people are like rolling dice and adding up stuff and like all that, and that is true. There are parts of it that are just they're horrible, but there are some really great podcasts that like cut all that out. And it's a production, so you're able to just hear like the fun storytelling and the wild stuff that's happening and skip all the bullshit that you can get when you're playing with your friends. So I think one of the ones that does it best is called the Not Another D&D podcast. It's by the guys and gals that used to be with College Humor. So they are really, really funny, super great improv, and it's a fun story. The premise at the very beginning, you got your guy who's telling the story, and you've got your people who are interacting. One of them's like a backwoods elf who's like animal companion as a possum, and then there's one who's playing a teenager who is trying to get all of his badges like in Boy Scouts. And then there's a guy who's never played D&D before. And so it's a good one to start with, because they're cutting a lot of the stuff out. You don't have to know what's going on. And they're so funny because they're good at improv that you end up just cracking up. So it's a good one to start with. So that's why I recommend it, but also warning in that it could really just not be for everybody, because it's D&D and there's rules, but you don't have to know all that before you kind of listen or get involved. So.
Well, and D&D is just, it's just a in-person, on-paper version of a lot of video games that are super popular, where the goals are essentially the same. You know, you've got certain characteristics, and you choose your race or what have you, and you build up and acquire points, and it's just a more homey, old-school way to play that style.
And there's a resurgence, I think, because of new rules in the game that make it more of a storytelling entertainment part. So it's a little different in that it bleeds over into an entertainment style genre. And the reason I recommend NADDPOD, which is where you can find it on Twitter or whatever, is because they're bringing their story to an end. It's not one of those where they're just going to keep playing like forever and ever. They're actually wrapping up their story right now. So you've got these characters that are building to this final thing, and they could die, things could happen, and you're like emotionally invested, just like you would be a TV show. But it's definitely something. I think another warning would be the time investment, because if you're really interested in the story, you're listening to a longer show. Of course, SinCast and BTS, we have a longer show too, so it just kind of depends on what you want to do. It's not like a 4-hour long watching every element. They cut it down and make it more kind of bite-sized and manageable. So that's my Reco Warn.
Nice.
Not another D&D podcast.
All right.
I like it.
I'm gonna jump off that because I was gonna recommend Onward, but I think everybody knows how much I would love Onward. It's amazing. But you got me thinking about. I've been into disc golf lately. Have you ever played or know anything about it?
Disc golf friends are stoners, just so you know.
Yeah, well, not all of them. Just there is one. Just so you know. No, anyway, so there's this YouTube channel called Jomez Pro, and
I think I've seen this.
They are basically the YouTube channel for disc golf, and there's a pro tour, and the pro tour just started last week and was the first tournament. And you talk about how, cutting something down. When you watch sports, especially sports like where you don't know the players, it can get really boring, right? So they actually take each round. They do just like golf. They'll do a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday round. And then they will follow the leader group, and they just cut it down to the shots. And so it's like 20 minutes to get through an entire, 18 cages to see the whole thing. And I find it really fun. And some of these guys are incredible. Like the shots they're making, the putts they're making are from, 60 feet out, 70 feet out. There's, what's the guy's name?
Is there a little elderly lady that is on the side of the path?
I have had that happen, though. I have had people walking along the path at the course where I play throw me my Frisbee back.
Nice.
So
Nice.
That'll happen. No, but and what got me into it this year is there is a pro who is just killing it, and I forget his name. It's something like McGrath or something like that. But he has twice last season shot 18 under on a course, and he's incredible. So it's fun to watch him. It's kind of like, when Tiger was Tiger, or when, that kind of thing, or when Jordan was playing. It's just like, you're watching kind of the best of the best. So yeah, Jomez Pro is the name of the website, and when there's a pro tournament, they do a great job with the coverage.
So
and
it's like
high quality coverage.
NFL
too.
Red Zone, where they just show,
basically exactly that. And I really found that I enjoy watching it that way. It's kind of really fun.
You ever watch competitive dart throwing?
Yes,
that shit is awesome.
Yes,
especially
totally.
if it's British.
My brother-in-law was a competitive dart thrower for a while.
Really?
Yep.
I was a competitive dart catcher.
No, but he did.
That explains a lot, Jeremy.
I had to retire. I wasn't very good.
Nice.
You want me to go?
Go for it.
I know more than just me can chime in on this. I'm going to recommend a docuseries on HBO right now that just wrapped up called McMillions. This is, if you don't know, about the people who rigged the McDonald's Monopoly game.
Oh, yeah.
So that they could dictate who was going to win the prizes. And that was pretty much all I knew. I knew that Ben Affleck and Matt Damon had bought the rights to make a dramatization film.
And they're still making that movie, right?
I just read an interview that says they still want to.
Okay.
But then McMillions came along, and docuseries are really popular now, and maybe they stole some of that thunder.
Well, just get Joseph Gordon-Levitt to do the movie.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
Sure.
With
Give
the
him
bad accent.
Make sure he has an accent. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the story goes a lot deeper than that, and the show sort of. It's a very interesting show because they are playing around with the information in a way a dramatic show would. Like each episode ends with like a kind of whammy drop of information.
Especially the first episode, man.
Yeah.
They dropped that info in the last second of the first episode. Yeah.
But everyone does that because then there's like the second or maybe the fourth episode where they ask that lady, who do you think the informant was?
Yeah.
And she goes, this guy. And
Yeah.
and by the end, you find out who the informant was, and it's maybe not who you expected. But man, this dude, he worked for the company that provided security for the game, right? And so he would go to the printer where they're printing these tickets and pick them up. They would be in a suitcase that was locked and handcuffed to his wrist. And then a woman who didn't do her job very well, who was supposed to accompany him everywhere to make sure the case was never opened. They each had their own combination that they had to put into the case. And he figured out her combination. Anyway, I don't want to ruin the whole show. But basically, he finds these people and he gives them pieces, and they turn into crime lords, man. Like, they start, like, manipulating
crime,
people.
yeah.
They're like, okay, I'm going to give you this $100,000 prize, but I want half the winnings. And they're like, well, okay, free $50,000. But then, like, they never get the money. They go to the bank, and he keeps taking all the money. And
well,
like,
and they don't realize that they're the ones that are going to end up paying the taxes on it. So basically, all that they're keeping is going towards taxes. And so, yeah.
So you've seen this too?
Oh, yeah.
It's
yeah.
How many
Jen
episodes is it?
and I watched this every Sunday night, like right after it was on. We
And
were
it just
excited
finished,
about-
right?
Yeah, 6 episodes just finished.
yeah, it just ended, and it's. I thought it was pretty riveting. Not in the way a true documentary would be, because it is so manipulated for episode ups and downs in terms of when they reveal certain information. But as far as riveting television, I couldn't stop watching it. I actually caught a marathon one Saturday of 4 of the episodes and then only watched the last 2 live. But that's a full recommend for me.
Jeez.
All
All
right.
you guys have seen this, right?
Yeah,
I've only seen the first 2 episodes.
I haven't
gotta
seen the
finish
last
it.
episode, but I've seen most of it. Yeah.
I'm sure Danae's watched it twice.
You
They
guys-
go to jail. I don't know if that really happens.
You know what? The
Because I
court,
haven't watched it
the
at all.
court stuff is interesting. Like the last episode kind of deals with.
Oh, did I just spoil it? Sorry.
No. I'm just saying it's interesting, like the whole plea bargaining aspect of things. Like I just
I
find
didn't
that
know
Well,
so
the whole
doing.
idea that a lot of these people didn't know that the tickets had been stolen. They were told
Right.
a lie, like my friend is getting a divorce, and if he cashes this ticket, his wife's going to get half the money. So if you cash it for him and split some of it with us, everybody wins. So some of these people who were stealing, essentially, didn't have any idea they were stealing until it all caught up with them later, but then they all still got charged with crimes, but they all played out
mail
differently.
fraud, federal mail fraud, like big crimes. Yeah.
It just unravels the more you watch
And
it.
it took them so long to figure out anything was going on too. That's what it was like 15
oh yeah, this
years.
this
was
went
like 10
a
years,
couple
yeah.
decades,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, this was going on for a long time.
But
I
once
knew
they
that's
figured
why
it
I wasn't
out,
winning. I
they
knew
knew
it.
exactly. They called all the winners back for like a special get together, and then like whammied them all. It was pretty
Yeah,
Ooh.
Anyway.
yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
Some of the dumbest recreations I've ever seen in a documentary.
Actually, that was it was almost a record warrant.
that's what I was
going to
say. That makes it a little bit of a record warrant.
The
It's
dramatizations,
the
it's like
dramatizations are
remember like
horrible.
Rescue 911.
Yes,
When
yeah, exactly.
that's what this is like. But thankfully, they're pretty sparing
Yeah.
in how often they're used.
Was
But
Rescue 911 Shatner?
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
That was on for a long time.
it sure
Yeah.
was. Sure was.
Good one.
I'm going to warn Rough Night.
Oh God!
I know this is so completely random. I know, but when I have
sucks.
have you seen it? Yeah. When I saw when I buy all these Blu-rays and crap, like eventually, like if it's a comedy, I'm going to see it. I'm going to find a way to see it. So one night, nothing to do. I was like, all right, I'm gonna give this Rough Night a chance. I know it's not going to be good, but I'm going to give it a shot. And it's
What's the
everything as
premise?
bad as everybody was saying
Yes.
it was. I couldn't believe it. Like I couldn't believe how bad it was. Usually a comedy, like you have something you can hold on to, but you have Scarlett Johansson, Jillian Bell, Alana Glazer. Who else is it? Zoe
All
Kravitz.
extremely talented
Zoe
people.
Kravitz is
Yeah.
in it. Yeah, there's a lot of and it's Scarlett Johansson going on a bachelorette party, like at this rented out like amazing house of some sort.
Demi Moore.
Yes.
I'll get to that.
Okay.
That's a whole
Their
thing.
neighbors are Ty Burrell from Modern Family and Demi Moore, who are this swinging couple. And,
Literally swinging.
Yeah. And just like Very Bad Things, they hire a stripper, And, of course, I mean, I guess not like Very Bad Things. The person that comes they think is the stripper. Of course, that happens in a lot of movies, too.
Yeah.
But a person comes that they think is the stripper, and so, like, he's winging it, and you think, okay, maybe he's the stripper or whatever, but then, like, Jillian Bell accidentally shoves him, and he hits his head up against the corner of a table, and he bleeds out. And so they have committed a murder, and they do this whole thing where, like, what are we going to do? And I think Scarlett Johansson's a politician.
Yeah.
And she can't have this on her record, so there's, like, this whole, let's cover up the body, let's throw the body out into the ocean and all that. And so then they do that. They take the body and throw it out into the ocean. And then they realize that Ty Burrell and Demi Moore have cameras outside. So Zoe Kravitz, their idea for this is Zoe Kravitz has to get into a threesome with them. So
this sounds much more entertaining than it actually
is. It does.
We know this sounds amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
But hold on.
Zoe Kravitz has to get into a threesome. Of course, she's like, nah, I can't do that. But then goes
she's into it.
Really into it. And all to get this tape that they have on their security system. And then they find out that the cameras don't work. It's that kind of comedy, And the person who wasn't a stripper is actually a robber. This is the dumbest thing ever. He's a robber who's part of another group of robbers who wanted to go. He hid out at this house of all houses to hide out in. Let's go to a mansion.
No, fuck this movie in the ear.
Yeah.
This came out right around Girls Trip, right?
Yeah, it did. Same here.
And Girls Trip was absolutely head and shoulders better than this thing.
Yes.
And they both were running previews around the same time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, all right, maybe both of them will be entertaining. No, this movie can kiss my ass.
Yeah, man. The Rough Night, it looked like very bad. The thing about Very Bad Things is that at least they just went for it. I never really thought that movie was like super great or anything, but like it actually, goes the extra mile to be dark.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
And it really goes there and everything. And that you can appreciate that. This one's trying to be funny with this scenario, and none of it ends up being funny at all.
Dude, I forgot that Very Bad Things was directed by Peter Berg.
Peter Berg.
That was his
And the music.
Yeah.
The music was from Stuart Copeland from Eurythmics.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No,
I want to watch that movie again.
Wasn't he with the police?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I thought about holding off on it because we're going to do a mini pod about this, but I cannot hide my boner for The Hunt anymore.
All right.
If you haven't heard of The Hunt, it was this quote political comedy, black satire about liberal elites hunting and killing deplorables or redneck Republicans, that kind of thing. And so it got a lot of negative press at the time. The studio postponed it for a while.
Yeah, there was a shooting that happened
That's
or
right.
something.
That's
right
what
before,
it was.
Yeah.
But the narrative that everybody sort of heard, I think, was like that Donald Trump hated it or something,
Yes.
and that's not the reason.
No.
Yeah.
So it was held back for a reason, and so we went to see it yesterday, a couple days ago, and had no clue what to expect. This is Damon Lindelof and Nick Cuse.
Nick Cuse, yeah.
I don't know what relation he is to Carlton Cuse. They both did Lost, the TV show, and had really no idea what this was about besides that basic premise and the fact that Betty Gilpin from Glow, the main person in Glow, that she was in it. And I went in thinking, all right, we'll just kind of see how this goes. I had so much fun with this movie. This movie's fucking great. And when I say great, it's not masterpiece or anything like that. It's just a lot of fun. I had almost as much fun with this movie as we did John Wick 3. You will never see it coming. All right? There are people in this cast. I didn't even look at who was in the movie. There are people in this cast that you'll know very well, the people that you don't know, and you don't know what's going to happen to any of them. And it's really, really fun. It's super short. It's like 85 minutes, but it'll just breeze by. It's really, really cool. I highly recommend it.
So Nick Cuse is Carlton Cuse's son.
His son? Oh, that's interesting.
Yep. So, yeah. So, and that was something I had forgot. I think I had known that somewhere in the recesses of my brain, and then Damon's credit came up at the end, and I was like, oh, it makes sense now why I like this. I usually love Damon's stuff. So it's just so smart.
Yes.
And I think you're right. I think I was telling somebody this, there is something about watching movies with friends that you don't often get to watch movies with that makes an even better experience. Sitting next to Chris and you and just laughing together at some of this stuff, because it is a funny movie. Now, it is a pitch black satire, and it is violent as all get out and all that kind of stuff, but it is so well paced and well toned that it just works.
Yeah, the end of this movie is extremely satisfying. It works in a way that I didn't expect it to. And if you go in expecting a lot of political subtext, either I didn't get it or I ignored it.
Well, it's there, but what's beautiful about it is it's a very double-edged satire. It's not playing one side it's just saying, look how ridiculous we all look. So it's interesting in that way that the satire is not edged a particular way. It's double-edged.
That was what the review I read said. It said it played 7 different sides.
Yeah, and I don't think I guess it does have those facets. You can read in whatever you want to read into this movie, but I chose to just kind of like skim it top level and enjoy the ride.
It gets into not only like what liberals argue about with each other, but what conservatives argue about with each other, and then what the differences are between the two, obviously. But it's funny just looking at how they fight amongst themselves more than they fight with each other. And everything. So.
Oh my God, there's some absolute like Looney Tunes gags in this that had me rolling. There's even some upgrade style action things where like the camera will follow when they fall down on it. Yeah, it's really well filmed.
Who directed it?
I forgot the guy.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll have to look.
Wow, that never happens.
A collective.
Yeah, right.
I don't think I've ever had.
Craig Zobel.
Oh, okay.
Or Zobel. So yeah, I would totally recommend it. It's violent and it's not for kids. Don't bring your like 10-year-old to see it or anything like that. But I quite enjoyed it.
But I'm sure Bloodshot's going to be way better. So we're good.
Bloodspot?
We're good.
I think that's what he was saying in the review.
Yeah, even though the hunt's good.
Blood spotting. That is what it is.
I hate it when that happens.
Yeah.
Blind shot.
Me too.
Blind shotting, yes.
So I'm going to talk about a TV show that I just started watching. It's been on for about 5 weeks. It's called Briar Patch. It's on USA. I think that's the only place it's on right now. Like I don't think you can watch it on Hulu or anything yet. But it's really cool. It's like a Norrish mystery. Kind of like it kind of feels almost like Elmore Leonard or something, like the way it's set up, and it's based on a novel from the 80s, which I had actually read and didn't realize until I started looking into it, by Ross Thomas, called Briar Patch. The difference in the book and the show, though, is in the show the main character is a female, whereas in the book it was a male. But Rosario Dawson, who's awesome, or is it Rosario? Rosario Dawson, sorry, who is great as the lead in this. She finds out that her sister has been killed in a car bomb, and so she comes to this small town that they grew up in, and is trying to figure out who killed her sister. And at the same time, she's an investigator for a Senate subcommittee, and the senator just happens to have somebody in the town he wants her to depose for.
Depose or
depose? Depose. That's what you say, right? For depositions.
Yeah.
Wants her to try to get him to get on the senator's side about this other thing, but then, of course, things merge together and have to do with each other and all that kind of fun stuff. What's really cool about this, I mean, it does the Norrish stuff, it does the mystery stuff really well, but this show is also very quirky, which is really cool. Like, for instance, I don't know how long it goes because I've only seen the first couple episodes, but I know one of the things going on in the town outside of her situation is that all the animals have broken out of the zoo. Yeah. So there's
I get real passionate about that.
There's just these random scenes. Like there's this one scene where she's like in the park, like eating like a tamale and talking to somebody, and then in the background while this conversation's going on, these two men are trying to get an alligator to go like in a cage.
Is it a comedy or?
It's kind of like it's really quirky. Like it's kind of like it's very Elmore Leonard-esque, like out of sight.
That's my style. I dig that stuff.
Yeah, and I'm really enjoying. I know Aaron said you have a little bit of a different opinion, right? Like, or you just kind of gave up?
I give up on it. I watched 3 episodes, which I always if I start a new show, I always promise myself I'll watch at least 3 episodes before I give up, and it just wasn't hooking me.
Yeah.
And it may be that I don't connect as deeply to noir stuff like you do. The mystery didn't hook me. I just wasn't interested in solving the mystery.
That makes sense.
She's great. Rosario Dawson is great in it, and I think there's some really interesting humor to it, like you're talking about. But I wasn't curious about what would happen.
I hear you. No, but I'm really enjoying it so far. I've seen the first 3 episodes as well, and I'm really enjoying it so far. But like I said, I think that's really the only way to watch it currently. But I'm sure it's going to be available streaming.
Well, I'm trying to remember who the showrunner is on one of my favorite podcasts.
Andy Greenberg,
Andy Greenwald.
Andy Greenwald, and then Sam Esmail. Is that how you say that from Mr.
Esmail.
Robot?
Yeah,
right,
Mr. Robot,
he's involved in it too. But I think he brought it to him. Right, he brought it to Sam.
Andy Greenwald brought it to Sam Esmail, who actually they have a connection because Sam loves their podcast and would come on and do the podcasting with them. And so he pitched it to him after one of the podcasts, and so now he's running the show for Sam Esmail's production company. Cool. So, yeah.
I'll tell you what. This podcast needs more elevator repair in the background. It does. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Yeah.
A little stank to it.
Danae, do you have another recommend, warn, or anything? No?
Nope.
Okay. Aaron?
Sure, I can talk about the rhythm section. Who watched the rhythm section? I know it's
God.
been out.
2 other people
right?
saw that
This
movie.
is the thing.
I've
Like,
read
it
the book.
broke a record for lowest money made at the box office on a film with more
What
than
a record.
2,000 screens or something.
Who's the main person in this?
Blake Lively.
It's Blake
Blake
Lively.
Lively, yeah.
I like Blake Lively.
I do too.
I like The Shallows. I think that's a fun movie.
I do
so,
too.
In the
In the
I
like
bad.
simple-
I said a bad thing. I'm sorry. I said a bad
I'm
thing.
just glad I wasn't the only one that was like holding back, like, ooh, don't do it.
Wait, you mean you said a bad thing?
I said a bad thing. So yeah, the rhythm section is just as bad as you would assume. I mean, it is horrible. It is.
What is it about?
I don't know.
I
tried. I
mean,
tried
it's
to
kind
watch.
of the book's weird too. She's a spy, right? Or
It is. It is trying to be like Jason Bourne-ish, where it's like the creation of a super spy. That's a little different than Jason Bourne, but that's part of what makes it so stupid. Is the way that she becomes a super spy is just complete nonsense. And I don't know if it makes sense in the book, but in the movie, it's like, she has tragedy in her life, and then she goes in and gets lost in heroin, I think, and drugs, and is a prostitute in the streets of whatever country.
That's the route James Bond took to become a spy.
Exactly, yeah. And
Sounds
then it's
pretty
like
legit.
overnight, all of a sudden, she's, La Femme Nikita or something. I don't know. So
Man,
it's
that heroin, though, it's good stuff.
That's how I became a gigolo.
I don't know.
What?
That's how I became a gigolo.
So yeah, it is as bad as everybody says, and I wouldn't, it's one of those things where so few people saw it that what I'm afraid is going to happen is a couple months from now when it comes out, next release or whatever, people are like, oh, I wonder if that's any good, and I just, as many times as I can say, will say, no, it's awful, just stay away, you don't need any part of this, like, it's really
Is it
that
bad if you kind of making me want to see it?
Well, no, that was my goal.
This is something that Jeremy's going to see on like Stars.
Yeah.
Stars 3.
What a
I'll have it
horrible
memorized.
title for a movie, too. The rhythm section. It's about your cardiovascular system is your rhythm section.
Or you think like music.
And yeah, like
something.
the idea that your heart is, like your rhythm section, and you have to calm your rhythm section.
I
to
thought
be
it was a sequel to Whiplash just from the title.
Yeah, it is
The
not.
rhythm section.
It is
yeah.
not.
No, we got you.
That was a better joke than the reaction.
That's a shame, man. Blake Lively, we were running down her credits recently, and she's made really good choices or been in really good stuff.
Well, and if there's one good thing you're going to say about this movie, she's doing good work.
She's always bringing it, man.
And she's bringing it in this awful movie. So
she was great in The Town. She was great in A Simple Favor, which
Oh,
Jeremy
she's
still
great in the
hasn't.
traveling pants.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
the traveling.
Well,
Both
yeah,
of them.
and even something like Green Lantern, she met her husband.
Well, yeah, okay.
Savages,
There's that.
Savages is okay.
You like Savages?
It's okay.
Yeah, I didn't like Savages.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, she's usually not the problem. So
Yeah.
that's a shame. That's a real shame.
Ooh, Private Lives of Pippa Leesco.
That's a shame.
Jeremy?
I want to warn
All right.
Gemini Man.
Don't you mean Jiminy?
Gemini Man. Gemini Man. Now, this podcast will not come out for 2 Tuesdays, correct?
Mondays.
For 2 Mondays.
Yes.
I will gladly pay you on Tuesday for a cheeseburger I could have today. So I can go ahead and say we're going to sin Gemini Man. The only reason I saw Gemini Man is that I was assigned to write sins for Gemini Man, and boy, was I glad that I got that assignment. Because that's one of those movies that's just, I don't want to offend anybody in here. Does anybody love Gemini Man? Oh, Frank. I'm not worried about offending Frank.
Hey, Danae gave it a good review on the mini-pod.
I didn't. I was drugged.
There you go. Okay, so the biggest problem with this movie is this CGI younger Will Smith. That what I appreciate about Ang Lee is that he tries something. He swings for the fences almost every time out. And so here they made a big deal out of the younger Will Smith that wasn't an actor, it wasn't Will, where they de-aged him like Sam Jackson and Captain Marvel. This was a full CG creation of a character. And it shows. It shows in so many scenes, especially the last scene, where he looks more plastic than the guy at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark whose face is melting. Like, he looks so fucking fit. And then the movie just hammers you with everything. Like, in the first 20 minutes, he says there's a bee near him, and he way overreacts to this bee, and she looks at him like, what? And he's like, oh, I'm deathly allergic to bees. And it's one of those things where I wrote a thing like, well, that'll never come back into play at all. And then 10 minutes later, she's like, what are you afraid of besides bees? He says, drowning. And I wrote some really fun sins about bees.
It's taking
and
everything
drowning.
within me not to just read your sins right now.
I kind of want to show the video tonight or tomorrow. There's no reason we can't. It's done. It's on the channel.
Yeah, that's true.
But I make a lot of jokes about the bees and the drowning and the bees.
Yep.
There's a line of dialogue where Clive Owen says Clive Owen can only be in preposterous movies now. But he's reached Gerard Butler levels. But he says that's like the Hindenburg crashing into the Titanic, which is, if you know me at all, that's just fodder for 10 more jokes as I keep writing the script. I just had so much fun. It's pretty rare that I write sins for a movie and I'm giggling at them. That's going to be a fun one. Whether we're able to show it to you this weekend or you have to wait, would it be next week?
I think it is next week.
Yeah, I think it's Tuesday or Thursday next week. I did not enjoy this movie. As far as an action film, 90% of the action scenes are shot at night. One of them's even at night in a cave. And I do go on and on about that in the Sins video as well, because of course they did that, because one of their characters was CGI creation and not a person. So you have to hide all the rubber Neo by putting it at night. Man, this movie pissed me off.
Well, we saw it in the
high frame rate.
The different frame rates. I'm really curious what he looks like just normal.
Did he look right in the high frame rate?
In the dark, he looked fine.
See, this is the thing with the high frame rate. Also, the dark scenes. I didn't have trouble seeing what was going on.
It looked like they were really well lit.
But when you watch it just in the regular,
how would increasing the frame rate increase the light?
You get twice as much light. Twice as many frame. That's why 3D is so bright and high frame rate. Yeah. It's literally twice as many frames. So
that doesn't mean there's more light in a single frame.
It does, and I can't necessarily explain how to. But I know that's how it's.
I love that conversation with a friend. You just have to believe me.
I'm not saying that there's no way it doesn't appear as a brighter image.
Oh, that's all I'm saying.
I'm saying factually there can't be more light in one frame of a high frame rate film.
No.
Than there
the process
is in one.
of the twice as many frames makes it appear brighter. Because we're seeing that same brightness 60 times instead of 30.
In the last scene, though.
The last scene is awful no matter how you see it. The last scene is awful.
Yeah, the college scene.
Oh my
God!
God!
He had his arm around a couple girls.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, he does. It's the worst.
It's
the worst.
It's not good at all.
What is this
something.
about?
Gemini
He's
Man?
the best assassin ever, and they tricked him into killing someone who was a good guy.
He wasn't really actually the.
And so now the government's after him for a murder that he didn't really do, but the government's evil, and they have a younger version of him anyway, and it's just an excuse to get that program rolling out. Also, my favorite thing about this whole movie is that they have a whole building on the military base. It's 8 stories tall, and at the top of it says, Gemini Man, when this is the super secret government top secret program where nobody knows that they're doing
I can't
this.
remember who's the bad guy.
It's Clive Owen.
Clive Owen, that's right, yeah.
Well, and young Will Smith, but he turns good.
I couldn't remember it was Clive Owen.
Lots of the beats are
he's
predictable.
confused.
I wouldn't waste your time on this movie. I
No,
wouldn't
it's
spend
not.
money on this movie.
It's not good.
But maybe some time. And Frank can tell you how I'm wrong later.
That's a real shame, man.
What
I
is-
wish Ang Lee, instead of swinging for the fences technologically, I wish he'd focus more on story.
Well, even that Billy Lynn's long halftime
jaunt, yes.
I never get the title right.
I think it's just Billy Lynn's long halftime.
Even that was like a submersive technology that he filmed with, and some of the story sometimes gets lost when even Hulk. I like Hulk more than most, but what's interesting to me about Hulk is the visuals because the story's kind of lame.
Yeah.
There are Hulk dogs in that movie.
But that was, his early stuff. Ice Storm's not like that.
No, not at all.
Or Eat, Drink, Man, Woman.
I think Hulk is the first. Hulk or was he do Crouching Tiger?
Yeah, Crouching Tiger was his
Crouching
first
Tiger is the first time I think he
visual-
got that visual.
But that story was still on point.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm the only one that likes Life of Pi, right?
Oh, I like Life of Pi.
Oh, you do too? I really like Life of Pi.
I haven't seen it since we sent it.
There's a tiger in a
There are
boat.
things about it I really like.
And I like Simpsons Sensibility. Simpsons Sensibility.
Oh, that's
It's really
my
good.
favorite.
He's got more good films than bad, I think. He's a director that I'm always interested in his work. It's just that, kind of had a feeling going in that the gimmick was going to overshadow everything else, and it did.
Yet another comedy that I watched in the past few weeks that I'm going to warn. Yeah, we brought the meanness to Sin Week. But I'm going to warn the movie that came out last year called Jexi.
I think Frank
Just
liked
as good
this
as her.
too.
Just as good as her.
It's just as good. Did you like Jexi too? Yeah. Oh my God! What did you not like? Could you tell me what you don't like? Jexi is playing basically on that her thing where the OS is way more sentient than your normal OS, and the voice here is Rose Byrne instead of Scarlett Johansson. And Adam Devine is the guy who gets this new phone and gets this OS that has Rose Byrne as a voice, and immediately, just like in Her, this OS is telling him, sort of like giving him way more information and advice than normal, but this one is a little bit meaner. Scarlett Johansson's Her was like really trying to help out Joaquin Phoenix. Rose Byrne in this witty comedy is always like putting Adam Devine down, like calling him a loser, calling him dickless, calling him whatever it is that can come to her head at any one time, really just wearing him down. And then he runs into some girl on the street, and he really likes her. And Rose Byrne, I think more as a joke than anything, eventually tricks him into calling her, or she calls her himself, or something like that. And they actually start like a somewhat dating relationship from that. But now Rose Byrne is pissed off that he's dating this girl, and she becomes even worse about like trying to sabotage him. So the whole movie is this OS trying to sabotage Adam Devine's life. And it's not funny, and it's not good, and yeah, we're warning it.
Is Adam Devine one of the most likable guys who keeps making unlikable projects?
Yeah, you think you might be right.
He's in Mike and
love Adam
David Wedding
Devine.
Dates. He
Yeah.
did that Die Hard knockoff on Netflix that nobody liked, that got terrible reviews. He's in this, but I genuinely like that guy.
Yeah,
I think
they
he's
do.
a funny guy.
Workaholics was his sort of intro, most people's intro to Adam Devine, and he's great in that. Workaholics is really fun.
First Pitch Perfect.
I was going to say, Pitch
Yeah.
Perfect is where I saw him first, and I think he's great in that.
Yeah.
He is very, very good in Righteous Gemstones, which I think is an
Oh,
underseen
yeah, that's right. I forgot about Righteous
comedy
Gemstones.
overall. But he's terrific. Maybe the best he's ever been in that. But yeah, this looks terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and again, this is one of those comedies that I'm like, this could be. I mean, if
Yep.
the right circumstances, this could be good. But if you're going to one note your villain in this, and it's all just she's just bad to him the entire time. So there's really no humanity to the whole thing. And plus, the other thing that's weird about this movie is like he apparently is the only one that has this kind of operating system.
Oh yeah,
And everybody can hear. He's not he's not crazy or anything. Everybody else can hear what she says on the phone, and nobody goes, "Oh, that's weird. That OS is so much more advanced than any other OS that I've ever seen." No one even bothers.
Nice.
Like it's one of those where nobody acknowledges it. They're just like, "Oh yeah, I mean OS is it's doing some amazing stuff that you can't do these days."
well, that's the brilliance of Her, is to make those OS systems ubiquitous, right? Everybody has them. Everybody interacts with them in a different way. Some are friends. Some are platonic. Some are more romantically involved, and that kind of thing. But yeah, this seems like the opposite.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah. Hey, so here's an old recommendation. Well, it's a rec-a-warn. Fast 5.
Oh Jesus!
Is a movie that existed. So I got home last Friday night, and my 12-year-old son was like, "I want to watch an action movie." He's really into action movies. And I was like, "All right, let's see what's on the free channels." And Fast 5. I want to watch Fast 5. I was like, "You haven't seen any of the other Fast and Furious movies?" And then I thought, that doesn't really matter, right? And so I had actually left off at 4. I've seen parts of the rest of them and everything, all that, but hadn't seen 5 before. This is Justin Lin that directed it, who's an otherwise good director. So this is the first one where The Rock is in it, and with his buttery arms. His arms are so slick, man. It's like you could lick off of them.
Yeah, man.
So this movie fucking sucks. It's terrible. It starts off in Rio with the backdrop of the Chrysler Redeemer thing. And I was like, I'm getting dumber watching this movie. I hate this movie. I hate it so much. And then about halfway through, I started liking it. I started really kind of getting into it and the heisty aspects of it and how stupid it was. And then The Rock has a goatee and shit. And it started, and the kid was having a lot of fun. The action was ridiculous. They jump out a skyscraper. This is the one where they jump out of the skyscraper.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, well, I get them all confused.
They jump out of a... No, that's
no, I think it's Furious 7.
Yeah, 7's the one where they jump out of the skyscraper.
Drive the car through the skyscraper.
5 is the
see this movie like 3 days ago. Well, I guess it was 5 days ago. Anyway, it's beside the point. This movie, right around halfway, if you decide to give yourself to it, to just let it penetrate you,
and we all have. We all have. Eventually,
you'll enjoy it. I've never liked the Fast and Furious movies. This is maybe the only one that I kind of dig. The first one was just too up its own ass with the whole quarter mile at a time and all that stuff. Tokyo Drift I thought was a fucking mess. And then starting at 6 through, what are we on, 12?
Yeah.
Whatever's coming out.
9.
They've started getting to where they're superheroes. And this is the crux of that. And I think it's probably the best distillation, which is funny, it's like 2.5 hour movie, of all of that ethos kind of coming together, and I liked it.
I hate them all.
Yeah.
I hate them all.
Also, reminder that this weekend is doubling as job performance review.
That's correct.
Then I'm keeping my mouth shut. I'm not going to say what I was about to say.
The one thing I remember about that one, though, is that Vin Diesel enunciates Brazil to the point where he's like, Brazil.
Yeah. Yeah.
You like this movie?
I do. This is the Fast and Furious movie that officially locked in. Oh, this is the kind of movie we're going to be. Like, this is where it all locked in. And like you said, halfway through, you started to be along for the ride. Mm-hmm. For me, this was the movie in the series where I was like, oh, I think I'm along for the ride. And since then, I know it's going to be stupid. I know it's going to be ridiculous, but it's also going to be really fun. Like, like you said, if you give yourself to it. So
the whole final stunt where they're dragging the safe down the freeway in both of the cars, I was cackling at that shit. I was like, yes, give me more, give me more. I'm such an idiot. But
yeah, that is the same way that I felt watching it.
And these movies are interesting to watch, like opening weekend, if you go see one, because there are people. I mean, the people that are into these movies are fucking into these movies,
like Marvel movies.
Man. This is like
they
them
made a
going
ton
back.
of money. Yeah.
This is like them going back to family, or however you say that. I don't know why I just said it with that accent.
Family.
That's family. That's how Vin Diesel sounds. Bloodspot. But yeah, no, it's fascinating to me, the fan base. Like Aaron says,
it's a record. It's fun.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I guess mine's mostly a warn, although it's not like terrible or anything if you choose to watch it. But Netflix last weekend, they released a movie called Spencer Confidential, Peter Berg.
Oh, cool.
His latest movie with, of course, Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, God damn it.
The Birds.
I said it's mostly a warn.
I'm already not. No, I'm not mad. I'm just saying, God, find somebody else to work with.
The Bergs are back.
But this is based on the Robert B. Parker series of novels, which after he passed away, Ace Atkins writes them now. But the show in the 80s, Spencer for Hire, of course, was based on this character. And
Spencer's Gifts.
Yes, Spencer's Gifts, where you can buy fart in a can. That is...
You can.
That's right.
You can.
That's correct.
You can get farts and dildos.
That's the way, yeah.
Don't they sell dildos there?
So this is they're trying to launch a franchise or whatever. Mark Wahlberg is playing Spencer, and oh my God, it's Winston Duke is playing Hawk. And the movie itself is. Did you watch this, Aaron?
No, I haven't watched it yet. No.
The movie itself is pretty generic. I mean, it's not gonna you're not gonna be pissed you watched it. I mean, and it's perfect for Netflix because it feels more like a TV movie than something you would release in the theater. It just has it's like a TV movie with a budget behind it and a big star. I guess he's still a star. I don't even fucking know anymore.
He's a bright and shining star.
He's a bright and shining
yep,
star.
that's right.
But yeah, no, I mean they're clearly trying to make a new Spencer franchise with this character because there's like 800 books they can choose from. I found it odd that they didn't use a Robert B. Parker novel. They actually used one of the new ones that the Ace Atkins writes. I thought that was interesting since there's he literally wrote 40 novels before he died. There's plenty that they could have chosen. They could have just started at the beginning. The first book in the series, the Godwolf manuscript, is outstanding. There's one in the series. It's called Pot Shot. It's basically the Magnificent Seven with private eyes. It's really cool.
You read a lot.
I try to. But anyways, yeah. So I was really curious to see this because I like the books a lot, and it was, like I said, it was okay. I will say Wahlberg and Duke were good together, and I think there is possibly something there. I wish it wasn't Wahlberg, but I think there's possibly something there, and I wouldn't mind seeing another one, but this one doesn't quite land.
Is it supposed to? It's an action comedy.
Yeah, and it's kind of
funny?
It's a mystery. Winston Duke is funny. Mark Wahlberg tries to be funny, but he's not.
I guess he's a bad actor. We were talking about this the last podcast. I think he's a bad actor.
I think he might be. But the first, I swear, I tweeted this when I was watching. In the first 10 minutes, he talks to an animal. So I retweeted that. Sorry, I mean I couldn't even be making it up.
How's your mother doing?
And he says bro like 5 times.
Bro.
It's like bro.
Hey, bro.
Come on, bro.
Come on, bro.
And it's just like
That's
I think he's playing up on the shit people make fun of him for now. I'll give him credit.
And Post
on that.
Malone is in
Get
this?
a record deal. Our shit is that
Post
good.
Malone is in this movie. He's in 2 scenes. He is not good. Big surprise.
Shocking.
But he is in this. Yes.
What a filmography for Mark Wahlberg. I'm just looking through it. It goes from award bait to trash comedy.
Oh, yeah.
To
hey, how many credits does he have?
I don't know the number. I'm just looking at.
Hey,
kind
bro,
of a
how many
list of
credits you
movies,
got?
My guess would be about 50 something.
I love him.
50.
He is good in some things. So other guys, I think he's
Other
really
guys.
funny.
You got Boogie Nights, and you got The Fighter, and you got
I mean,
he's-
Boogie Nights, he's fine in. But I think that movie works because of just about everybody else.
He's trash.
Yes.
Ted. You don't like him in Ted? The Ted movies?
What?
I didn't like Ted.
Oh, he's
Which
really,
movie?
He's funny in the Ted
He's
movies,
got good
right?
comedic timing.
Yeah.
Ted's funny.
Yeah.
He's got
I don't think he's the
73
reason.
credits.
73.
73?
And of course, his best movie, The Happening.
The Happening.
Yeah,
You know?
there is
No!
that. Yeah.
Man.
Like, talking about Hollywood just being a broken system the way they did it, because last year he was the highest paid. He got paid the most. He got paid $30 million for that 22-mile movie, and that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I don't even
Now,
consider
I'm
him
sure,
a draw.
I'm sure that's just base salary. I mean, I'm sure Robert Downey Jr. made more money on Avengers Endgame, but it was probably just all back end.
Yeah.
It's
Maybe
like
his
$45,000 a mile.
Yeah, yes, it is. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about Mubi once again. Mubi! This is in the middle of the Sin Week one, right?
Yes.
So that's why it sounds all different. Anyway, I tuned into Mubi the other day. I saw a movie called Variety. And it's about this woman who is a box office cashier at a porn theater. Oh boy, tell you, you just put the word porn in the description. I'm going to watch this movie. Yep. No, she's a box office cashier at a porn theater, and she's this single lady. Well, I guess she's dating somebody, kind of, sort of, but she's a single lady in Manhattan who really doesn't seem to have any prospects, doesn't have any. She's obviously she's being I don't know, she's having to deal with being a woman in a man's world, essentially, and everything. And this is very telling as you watch the movie. The director's Betty Gordon. who is obviously making sort of this statement. It kind of reminded me of Eyes Wide Shut a little bit. I almost feel like Kubrick had to have seen this movie at some point, because she's wandering around New York and getting into these different things, like observing things and experiencing things. And some of the things are not big deals, but the movie seems to be saying it is a big deal for a single woman in New York to be walking around like in the dark and like by herself. And
this is early 80s,
This
right?
is the early 80s when Times Square is like a big, huge porn fest.
Yeah,
you know, that's porn theaters and everything like that. In fact, the producers of the show,
The Deuce,
producers of The Deuce had to have seen this movie too for a little bit of research, because all the little places that she goes into, these little shops where they have the porno magazines and the peep shows and everything, and she walks into these typically male centers and is experiencing this stuff for herself. Of course, she goes in there and she's accosted by the men who go in there and like, what are you doing here? And they think that she's, you know, going to be down DTF because she's in this porno thing and whatever. But very interesting kind of movie, very dreamlike kind of movie that's on Mubi right now.
Nice.
And you know, it doesn't have a straight narrative, but it is an interesting thing to watch if you look at it under those sort of guidelines, that it's a woman trying to make it in New York and everything, to see like the things that she has to do. Early Will Patton plays her boyfriend or guy she's seeing, not really boyfriend. And she keeps like giving him like a play. I was about to say blow by blow of the pornos that she's watching and everything. And he doesn't seem to be into it. Like it's almost like it's wrong for her to be saying stuff like this. And you have early Luis Guzman in this movie.
Oh, wow.
Who I think this is his first feature.
Really?
He plays like sort of one of those barker guys. It's like, come on in here and watch this movie. You know, you're going to love it and all that type of thing.
Pussy.
He's exactly. So, yeah, that's on there right now. It's well worth watching. And I would recommend that.
Yeah. There's also a series that they're doing called Apocalypse Now, which is strangely timed. I don't think they had anything queued up for them to do this. But there are movies about the apocalypse and post-apocalyptic movies and stuff like that. One of them is the vintage Vincent Price Last Man on Earth, which was kind of the template for Omega Man and for I Am Legend.
Yeah, the I Am Legend Richard Matheson book.
Right, exactly. So this is Vincent Price acting kind of in the Will Smith role that he'll play later on, and he's great. This is just classic Vincent Price, not the super creepy Vincent Price. It's like he's actually kind of exploring a little bit more range, and it's you've seen the story probably before, but the way that he characterizes it and the way that he plays it is fantastic. I'd very much recommend watching this.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you go to Mubi.com/Cinemasins, you get 30 days completely free. That's free.
That is awesome.
That's free.
That means if you were so inclined, you could watch 60 movies by the time that free trial is over.
And we've all got free time on our hands these days, so this should be the perfect time to sign up for Mubi.com/Cinemasins. 30 days free. Curated streaming service for film lovers. There will be movies that you've never even heard of from filmmakers that you've never even heard of, but they have been obsessed over by movie nerds who know their cinema, and we love them. We could not recommend this enough. Mubi.com/Cinemasins. 30 days free.
All right, Barrett, do we have some questions that we can answer?
If we're going to do audience questions, we can get the mic out.
All right, I'll tell you what. Let's answer one of these while we're getting that set up.
All right.
Does that work?
Sure. Oh,
you know what? I like this one a lot. What movies would you point to where the hero defeats the villain in a very clever way? One of my favorites for this person is the Disney's animated Aladdin, where Aladdin tricks Jafar into wishing to become a genie. What do you guys think?
That's what happened.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Oh, now I understand.
I like in Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, where they've got Solomon Lane chasing after them, and they go down what looks like their last gasp down into that little manhole cover thing, whatever. And he comes in after them, and he falls down. He's ready for the attack, but he's in a glass box.
Oh, it's such a gorgeous
It's like
reveal.
Saw. Like you could almost expect the dun 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 almost in that when he gets in there. But I love that. I love it where the heroes seem like they're the ones that are getting chased, but it's really the other guy they're luring in and everything, and I love that ending.
What is it? He like puts his hand up, and you see that it's like a mime almost.
And he tries to shoot it, and it's just dust on the glass. It doesn't even affect it at all.
And Ethan's just eyeball fucking him too, man. He's just staring daggers into him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a
love
good
that
answer.
scene.
That's a good answer.
I'm going to go to the Christian Bale, Robert Sean Leonard classic Swing Kids.
Oh my God.
Where
there was a clever villain thing.
Yes, Robert
Was
Sean.
it a Nazi?
Yes, Robert Sean Leonard
was?
defeats Nazi Germany with a swing dance.
Oh.
I mean, how much more clever?
That is clever,
right?
No one was expecting it.
That's like when it's like Mel Gibson's Revolutionary War ended slavery in The Patriot.
Right? Yeah.
Dude, I don't think anyone has ever even referenced this movie in the last 15,
I have
25
such a soft
years.
spot for Swing
I love
Kids.
this movie.
And I really do. I tear up every time at the end where he's like, "Swing high, oh Peter, swing high."
Are you serious?
It's good.
You're not serious.
Are you
No, I'm
serious?
100% serious.
Are you serious, bro?
No, I'm totally serious. 100%. If my wife's around, she can back me up on this.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
Your wife is hiding in the corner.
Yeah, this is legit.
She doesn't want to be
It
seen with you
moves
for
me.
shame.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Wow.
No.
Tear
It
up at
hit
the
me
end
at
of
the
Swing
right
Kids.
time in
Is
my
this on
life.
Disney
It was
Plus?
just like, you know what? I'm not sure Swing Kids is a Disney thing. Is it?
It's a Disney movie.
Newsies is a Disney movie.
Oh, I thought Swing Kids was too. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm
Is
thinking
this
of Newsies.
is this the same movie where you actually got to meet Christian Bale, like in L.A.?
Oh yeah.
and
Well, this was my mom. So when I took my mom to the awards, Christian Bale was there, and we got a chance to say a few words. And my mom was like, "I just want you to know, I so much love you in Newsies and Swing Kids."
He's not in Newsies, right?
And what was
No,
his
he is.
response?
He's in
Okay,
Newsies.
okay.
He's in Newsies, and his response was, "Those aren't usually the movies that people talk to me about." But thank you.
Did he use an American accent or a British?
I don't remember. He used a Christian Bale accent.
I thought
whatever.
he also said something like "I did not like those," or
Oh
he,
yeah, no.
he's
it was
like
very
those were
clear.
my.
He was
He's like
he's
I didn't
yeah,
enjoy those at
I'm
all.
not a fan of those movies, but
Yeah.
thank you.
He was in Empire of the Sun too. That's him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was his
Is
debut.
that the
He was
one
like
where they-
11 or something in that movie.
Is that the one where they throw the mouse up against the door? Oh, it's so
Empire
terrible.
of the Sun.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, Cinderella.
I don't
know.
I don't know. Maybe
I don't
you've seen
remember. I haven't seen
Listen,
Empire of the Sun in a long
it.
time.
I haven't either.
All I know is that last scene where he's swing dancing to by Miramis Duchesne is so powerful and powerful enough to defeat Hitler, and I don't know that you can get
My
more
goodness.
creative than
I
that,
regret everything.
so.
That was a crazy answer right there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I went with Shawshank Redemption
Yeah.
because he defeats the bad guy, which I guess is getting out of prison in this really clever way. And I'll never forget seeing that part and being like, oh, what does this mean? And then he pulls the poster back. And you're like, yeah.
Warden Norton got lazy, man. That's what happened.
He sure
to him.
did.
He did. And what the title of the short story is Rita Hayworth
And the
Yeah.
Shawshank
and the
Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption, which gives away the entire twist that you don't know until.
Which I don't
obviously,
know if the twist is in the story though, right? I don't.
It's been a while since
I haven't read it, but I just.
Plus,
I
it's not Rita Hayworth at the end. It's Raquel Welch, right?
Oh, that's right. He
Yeah.
starts with
Hey
Rita-
there, Fuzzy Bridges.
Yeah. This is a conspiracy. This is a damn conspiracy.
I picked a very uncomfortable and cheating answer to this question, but I think it's good in spirit. I always love in Schindler's List, and I'm not making a joke, when Schindler basically tricks Eamon Goeth into being nicer to people by telling him there's more power in pardoning than there is in executing. And he's basically doing it to save this girl that works for him that there's weird stuff with. But then there's a whole other scene later on where the old man can't make the thing fast enough, and he takes him out with the guards, and he's about ready to have him assassinated, and then he goes, I pardon you. and he leaves. And Schindler saved that guy's life by tricking this guy into thinking pardoning was better than. I always thought that was one of the most fascinating mind fucks ever.
Yeah.
So that was my answer.
I don't think that's cheating at all.
No, that's a good answer.
My immediate answer to this was the end of Doctor Strange.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Dormammu have come to bargain, and he's got the time loop over and over again. You never see that in a fucking Marvel movie, right? You always see, same versus same. It's Killmonger versus T'Challa, or Michael Keaton and Tom Holland. That's not same on the same. But you know what I mean? A big action sequence and stuff like that. Certainly not anything like you see at the end of Doctor Strange. But my real answer is 8 Mile, where B-Rabbit at the end does the only thing that he could do to win this battle against Papa Doc. That's right.
That's a great answer.
I'm doing deep cuts here. So first off, they're staring each other down. They're doing that whole like pre-fight thing. And then instead of even starting with Papa Doc, he turns to the audience and does the everybody in the 3-1-3, throw your motherfucking hands off. And so he gets the crowd immediately on his side. Then he starts not eviscerating Papa Doc. He gets a few barbs in there, but he eviscerates himself. He does all this stuff. I am white trash. I am from the wrong side of the tracks.
My friend did shoot himself in the leg with his own gun.
And it's perfect because Papa Doc is set up to be, essentially like an actual dangerous villain. Like he's pointing his gun at him and everything. And he diffuses this entire situation by getting the crowd on his side, without a doubt, without a question. And then saying, tell these people something they don't know about me. Yeah. Fucking mic drop. It's awesome. Love it.
I love that.
Am I still the only one of this crew that's seen Bodied? The YouTube?
I haven't seen it yet.
I need one of you to watch that. I just need somebody to talk to this about this movie. Because as much as you love 8 Mile and as much as you love rap battles and that kind of stuff, somebody needs to watch Bodied.
I'll be honest though, 8 Mile. I almost only watched the rap battles. The rest of that movie is not aged great in my opinion.
No.
And maybe it wasn't great at the first time. Maybe we just left with such a high.
Yeah,
it kind of felt like everything before it.
I think you're right about that.
Yeah, because it's just I don't know. It's okay.
Yeah,
but
I was like
Brittany Murphy's not very
at
good.
home in a trailer.
Yeah,
Eminem's performance does not hold up over time.
Kim Basinger's ass.
It's like slightly better than Prince's in Purple Rain.
Yeah, but I think the last 30 minutes are exactly that exhilarating.
Oh my God, it's like Rocky.
Forgives the rest of it. Yeah.
Mine is I don't even like this. Here's another movie that I watched an insane amount, especially when I was younger. And I don't even know if this movie's good anymore, but it's got one of my all-time favorite scenes, and that's Superman 2.
Oh yeah.
Where so for those who haven't seen it, they're at the Fortress of Solitude. Superman's there. General Zod and his crew, Lex Luthor, Gene Hackman playing Lex Luthor, and Gene Hackman knows, or Lex Luthor knows that there's like a little like a crystal room, I guess you would call it, I don't know, that you can go in and it'll zap all your powers away. Mm-hmm. So they make Superman go in there, and then the red light goes on and blah blah blah. Superman comes out, and he's done this previously in the movie where he's taken his powers away. That's part of the movie, and then he gets his powers back. And so he comes out, and then Zod is like, son of Jor-El, kneel before Zod. He kneels down, reaches up, takes General Zod's hand, and then proceeds to crush it.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And then you find out that he turned the power to where it weakened everybody else and not him.
Right.
And I still don't even know how he actually does that.
No.
But God damn it, as a kid. I mean, we didn't have 30 Marvel movies. I mean, this is what we had, especially in 1982 or whatever. This movie was just like a godsend to me, and that scene has always just stuck with me. But I don't know how he changes the table, turns the tables on them.
No,
it's the reverse button. There's a
reverse
button.
Little
switch. Yeah.
And that's also it's so dumb too because right prior to that, he all of a sudden has these weird powers. Like he takes the S off of his suit and throws it.
Yeah.
That movie really doesn't hold up today. But it's amazing that at one time I actually thought, is that or the first one better? And now it's not even a contest.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike Swing Kids, which holds up so well.
It does.
I want to watch this movie again, man, to see it through your eyes.
Dude, I would not recommend it.
I like the dancing. The dancing's very
great.
fun.
How could you be so incredulous that he would like that movie 5 minutes ago, but now you're defending
I wasn't
it?
incredulous about that he gets teared up at the end.
I do.
Are we ready for questions from the audience?
Who's first?
So I think it's for mostly Barrett. I don't know how it works, but that's part of the question too. So I think I've said on Twitter too, one of my favorite content pieces that you guys put out is the music from behind. Mm-hmm. I just want to know what the hell that process is like, because it's batshit crazy.
It is,
videos.
right?
So I just want to know like what the process is like, and when are we getting more?
Well, good question. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Next Tuesday. No, I'm just kidding.
Next Tuesday. This was born of a seed. It was actually a few of the editors here at Made In the halls in which you're seated right now, doing a behind the music parody, and came up with that idea. And we decided the only way we can do this is to make it as absurd as possible while still keeping 1 foot in reality. So we set up this premise of being like the narrator is reputable, like he's reliable, and then he'll say something completely absurd, and you'll be like, what? And then he'll say something else absurd, and you'll be like, huh? And then it'll go into full-on absurdity. And we honed that idea quite a bit. And the answer is yes, there will be another season coming up soon, probably after we get done with Sin Week and stuff like that. Yeah. But I love doing it. I think it was so much fun. Jeremy wrote one of my favorite ones, the one about John Mayer, which was full of all kinds of absurdities that fit what my vision of it was always about.
Oh, well, I hope to write one episode in the upcoming season as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a little more production time sensitive in terms of how many pieces need to be in motion. It's at this point easier to turn out a Sins video than it is to turn out a music from behind, but we all loved it, and we all decided, let's make this like television. We'll do seasons of this show. So it'll come back annually, twice a year for batches of episodes. I'm really glad you like it. But that was Barrett's brainchild.
Well, and part of the things that really make it pop are the visuals that are done by our editors here. Ashley, who you've all met back there, worked hard on it, and Mitchell, too. You'd write something and you'd narrate it and you'd be like, hey, this is pretty funny. And then you see what they've done with it, and it took like an extra layer, like skyrocket. So I enjoyed watching it as much as you did. Thanks, Ashley.
My favorite part of that is always the comments and people saying how long it took them to realize that it wasn't true.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And then going back and seeing all of the things that you said that are totally crazy before that and be like, okay, you probably.
That was an early running thing on BTS.
So mine's, I have kind of two. One, did Chris ever answer your question about who directed that movie from last night?
Oh, I ended up telling him the answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the second one is mostly for Jeremy because you've seen The Martian the most out of all these people, and because the author is a friend of the show. Is there a part in the book you wish was in the movie?
Yeah, basically the sandstorm at the end when he's driving to the Schiaparelli crater. In the book, they realize at NASA that he's driving into a sandstorm, but he doesn't realize it yet because the sandstorm is so huge. It's only 1% sandy where he's at. But once he does realize it, he does the smartest freaking thing ever. Have you read this book?
No, I haven't.
He goes, okay, there's a sandstorm. Am I driving into it? Am I driving out of it? And he ends up basically testing and driving in both directions and figures out where the storm is and where it's moving so that he can drive around it to get to the crater he needs to go to. Yeah. And I totally get why they cut that out of the movie. I think it would have slowed the movie a lot at that point. Yeah. But in the book, that was one of the most clever things he did in the whole story. So,
would you rather have that or have the ending that is in the movie right now, which was not in the book, I don't believe?
I like the ending that's in the movie right now. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you mean where he goes to teach class?
I'm just saying, would you trade that?
Oh, no, because I think while they are the same story, they both work as they are in different mediums. Mm-hmm. And I think if you had that sandstorm stuff in there and you tried to explain it, you'd slow the momentum of the whole film.
It's
right
kind of like
definitely.
Danae with The Mist. She prefers the movie ending.
Good
right,
God.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The movie ending of The Mist rules.
I didn't know.
If you get a few seconds, you may want to listen to the portion of the Behind the Sins where we explained the end of The Mist to Danae. It was precious.
I didn't know.
Oh, it's awesome, though.
I didn't know.
All right. We need another cue. Come on up. You had your finger up.
How's it going? So my question is there a song that came out before a movie, not associated to the movie, that since a movie has come out featuring it, you can't disassociate the two?
Yeah, I mean, what is it? The Pixies, Where Is My Mind, is associated with Fight Club forever now. I can't listen to that song without thinking of buildings getting leveled and everything.
I can't hear Love Me Like You Do without thinking about 50 Shades.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Oh, my God. There's so many to think of. I mean, you think about Layla in Goodfellas.
Bohemian Rhapsody and Wayne's World.
Yeah, that's mine.
Yeah, which is weird because it's got a whole movie to itself, but you still
I
think
know.
about
Yeah,
Wayne's
but you
World.
definitely do. That scene in Wayne's World's better than the movie, at least.
Yeah.
I think this is a cheating answer to the question because the song had been out before, but it's Across the Universe. The Beatles song was repurposed by Fiona Apple for Pleasantville, and it's played over the closing credits and everything. One of my favorite songs of all time, and it makes me think of that period. That was 97, 98. And it makes me think of that movie in particular, and it's just an amazing song done by her. And if you ever get a chance to watch the video, it's directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, who was dating her at the time, I think, and it's fantastic. It's shot in black and white.
Last Sin Week, I got 5 on it. That song will always be us now.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well,
That's a really good
one. Yes. But also, that fucking Crystals ad used it. That was
right around
every sports event.
They did
the
it.
next 3
They
months.
did it 6 months after us, or 4 months after us, and they clearly stole it. If I hear that song, I'm immediately thinking of the movie.
Well, and also Redbone.
In Get Out.
Gambino,
Yep.
For
Steelers Wheel, Stuck in the Middle with You
Yep.
is another one that will always be Reservoir Dogs. You can't listen to that song without thinking of Michael Madsen pouring gasoline on that guy.
Yeah, I mean, and Tarantino's the master at this. Like Son of a Preacher Man,
Yeah, Pulp Fiction.
I love, but you're always going to associate Mia Wallace snorting cocaine.
Yeah,
walking down. Oh my God!
I mean, Don't Fear the Reaper, the original Halloween. Yeah, there's a bunch.
That was a good question.
By Mirbis Duchesne from Swing Kids.
Yep.
I cannot.
I agree.
King of New York from Newsies.
Right.
Yeah.
The Andrews sisters,
Well,
right?
Seize the Day is the Newsies one. I like that song.
Oh my God.
That's funny that you mentioned German because anytime I hear the song Rammstein by Rammstein, I think of David Lynch's Lost Highway.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Rammstein. There's also a song called Du Hast is on that soundtrack too.
That was a fun soundtrack.
That was a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
It had Marilyn Manson
I
and
love
Smashing
that
Pumpkins.
9 Inch Nails song.
David Bowie.
What was the 9 Inch Nails song? It was
Perfect Drug.
Perfect Drug, yeah.
Oh, you remember? Were you going to say something?
No.
Do you remember that Sopranos episode where they plant the bug in the lamp in their? You've never seen the Sopranos, have you? In the basement of their house, and they play this medley of Every Breath You Take and the Peter Gunn theme.
Yes,
You remember
that's
that?
awesome.
Every time I hear Peter Gunn theme or Every Breath You Take, I think of that Sopranos.
Yes.
because it's
Yes.
like. Dum, 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 dum.
Oh, did we say Sweet Caroline, Beautiful Girls?
Oh,
That's a good
Oh,
good
yeah, it's a
call.
good one. Yeah.
Welcome.
So I'm Louise, and according to Shady, I am 2 koalas in a skin suit. But this is not actually my question. Someone that wanted to be here but couldn't because of anxiety and stuff. Kevin from the Discord wanted to know, what are some TV shows that you follow that people would probably judge you because you enjoy? His example is Ghost Adventures because he loves it.
I watch Masked Singer, so I mean, I'm sure I can't think of anything
Barrett will
more
judge you for
embarrassing than that. Yeah.
Oh man, my rant was about to be about the Masked Singer.
Do you want to know how it works? That was what you were asking, right?
Yeah.
They're in a mask.
What the fuck?
And they sing.
So
They're in a mask and they sing, but
Yeah.
they're
nobody
but they're
knows
not-
who they are. Yeah.
but-
Nobody
but-
knows who
but-
they are until they
but-
get
but
voted
who
off.
cares?
No, it's I don't know.
It's a fun reveal.
It's just fun.
It's a fun
just
reveal.
fun to see the reveal, and it's just
'Cause
silly
you know,
and
like
goofy.
last
and
season-
it
last
doesn't
season-
mean anything. It's just it's not for anything. It's just
So,
fun.
like, for instance, last season, spoilers for last season of Masked Singer. So last season, Wayne Brady won. And you didn't know it was Wayne Brady the
How do
whole
you
time.
win?
You get, I mean,
They
audience
vote in the
votes,
audience and the
then
judges
whoever's the
vote
lowest
each
number of
week
votes
and-
goes home each week,
Yeah.
and they reveal who it is.
So, they
So you have to be a
reveal
good singer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A
there's some that
performer.
make it farther, but I think
Yeah.
the final person usually is.
So it's kind of fun
And the
because
judges are trying to guess who it is based on clues.
And so they're singing these. I'm trying to remember who was it recently that. Like Drew Carey was a recent one.
Lil
where it was
Wayne.
like, that was Drew Carey? You know, like it's just kind of one of those fun
Lil Wayne
things
was
where...
on there, although I did kind of guess him. But I was just
Tom
kinda...
Bergeron was a fun
Tom
one,
Bergeron,
too. Like,
yeah.
He's singing
How the
Frank
fuck
Sinatra.
would you pick out Tom Bergeron?
They did.
Well, that's not the point. I mean, the point is to enjoy
Are they ever
this...
right?
What's that?
Are they ever right?
They have
Yeah,
clues
they are a
and
couple
stuff,
times,
too.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, they get them
Hey,
right.
Sarah
yeah.
Palin was one of them.
In fact, Dr. Ken got
episode I
got
haven't
that
seen.
Charlotte Hornets basketball player or whatever, the Indiana Pacers basketball player, like
Yeah,
last
Luka
year.
Doncic or
No, it
something.
wasn't. It wasn't.
And the
it
costumes
was
are
somebody
pretty
else, but-
cool. Like it's
Yeah.
not. It's not like
legit.
a,
that Wayne
costumes.
Brady costume. It was like a steampunk fox.
Yeah,
it was really
it's
cool.
pretty cool.
He had like a monocle.
Yeah.
Anyway,
just fun,
well,
man.
well,
Barrett,
wait.
Barrett, there are so many people on this show.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
But what was the
actual
question?
people
Yeah, like,
that are
like Hugh
famous
Grant.
people,
Liam Neeson,
right?
Hugh Grant.
I don't watch as much TV as I used to, like network TV especially. But there was a period of time, like 15, well, I don't know how many years ago it was, probably 13 years ago. I got hooked into whatever the current season of Big Brother was.
Oh, Big Brother's so good, though.
And is it good?
It is.
Is it considered good?
No. It's reality trash.
people that
but
like
it's
it
a
like
lot
it.
of fun to watch.
But
Yeah.
I got into that one season back in 2007 or 2008, and then I got into the Big Brother After Dark that was in the same season.
Tell me you subscribe to the live feeds. Tell me.
I don't. I mean, at the time it was on Showtime.
Okay.
Yeah, they did used to do that.
And
That's
so
right, that's right.
I would watch Big Brother, and then like late at night, 12 to 3, I would sit there and watch the Showtime, like 12 to 3 in the morning, sit there and watch the Big Brother After Dark, and I'm like, maybe I'll see some nudity. I don't know. And
Did you ever see any?
occasionally, but everybody knew where the camera was, right? So
Right.
like if they went to take a shower or something, most of the time it was like this very complicated way of getting a towel over them and then pull the shirt off and then all that type of stuff. But anyway,
We'll have a conversation.
enough of my disappointment. No, it was interesting because and they only showed 3 hours, so I'm sure most of the time they were never going to say anything like about how they were voting or anything like that. In fact, most of the time it's just the cameras are focused on like somebody like jamming out on headphones and like somebody talking and saying that guy's an asshole or something like that, and it never really amounted to much, but it was voyeurism TV, so I was all about it.
This one I think will blow people's minds that I watched this show for one specific reason. It has a laugh track. In its Last Man Standing, Tim Allen's sitcom, right? Total Judgment, and I totally get it.
Yeah.
What it is for me, there's this Home Improvement nostalgia to it that I don't understand and I can't shake. I used to love Home Improvement. I thought it was so funny. It's the same show as Home Improvement.
Yeah.
It's basically Tim Allen doing Home Improvement 2.0. And every time there's an episode on my DVR, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll kill a half hour with that. So yeah.
I'm super into kids shows because I have one. So maybe there would be judgment for that.
Do you have a kid show?
I thought about it. I actually wanted to be on a kids show when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life.
Show. I wanted to play that.
Right?
The
The bucket game.
Of course.
Hell yeah.
They played it on WGN every morning.
Yeah.
Grand prize game, baby.
Yeah, man.
That's what it was.
So Tumbleleafers or Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, somebody might judge me for that. But the only one that I really get to watch that's maybe like a guilty pleasure is the Great British Bake Show or whatever. I love that show.
Listen, food programming
That show is
shows are a
amazing.
judgment-free zone. Yes, I watch diners, drive-ins, and dives. Judge me if you want to. This man, with the spiky hair, he does really good stuff for small businesses. Like he goes to restaurants and strip malls in Tucson, Arizona, and he props them up. Basically, he gives them love. He gives them support and access to people's eyeballs, and I think that's a good thing. And I like watching people cook.
Tom Bergeron gave me a song a couple weeks ago.
Very nice.
I don't know what it is about that show, but even when I watched it a couple of days ago, I had to stop watching it because I was like, I can't, because the bake didn't come out right, and I just can't handle it. It's about cooking. That's
me
crazy.
during Survivor. That is.
I literally have to
me
pause
during
the
Survivor.
show and take a breath and take a minute because they're so passionate about baking, and then when it goes wrong, you like watch, like their hearts are breaking, and they still have to put this like mess in front of the judges. It's really hard. It's hard to watch sometimes. Anyway,
I've only seen a couple of episodes, but I hear that is like the prestige of kind of addictive food shows.
What I don't understand about this show is, I get it, I guess, in a way. Maybe they just don't have a lot of options. But they're putting a baking show in a tent. So then there's days where it's stupid hot in a tent, and then they do things where they're supposed to. Yeah. Well, I mean, yes, it's outdoors.
And then they have that camping show in the kitchen.
What is that?
So weird.
Like, no wonder your chocolate's not getting together correctly. It's too hot. And I just get really into it. So, anyway, that's probably mine.
What do you shame?
God damn it. I don't watch this show all the time.
Wow. We're going to get something good.
I'm not sure any of you know that I have watched this show more than once. Like the question, I think I'm the only one truly answering the question by embarrassing myself with the answer.
Right. That was
the intention. Tim Allen show was embarrassing. Anyways, continue.
Tim Allen had a hit #1 show for 8 years.
Right.
I like a lot of trashy reality TV. There are some that I like to watch because of human interactions, like Naked and Afraid. That's not my confession here. Y'all knew I liked that show. Some of them I watch because it's like a train wreck, and I can't stop watching. I don't even want to. Can we stop?
Are we going to like Mob Wives or something like
Let's
that?
Let's go to commercial.
It's on Bravo. It's called Vanderpump Rules.
There you go. I knew we'd get there.
Lisa Vanderpump was one of the original housewives on the Housewives show. She owns several restaurants in Beverly Hills. And this show is strictly about following the beautiful, drunk fucking people that wait and bartend at her restaurants. These people have no legitimate reason to be famous. Less than Kardashians do. They wait tables at a famous lady's restaurant, but they got their own show. And it's so fucking cyclical, man. They'll all go out and get wasted, having a good time. Somebody will call somebody else fat, and then they'll fight about it for 6 months. And friends will break down the middle, and they won't talk to each other anymore. And every year they bring on more beautiful waiters and waitresses who drink and fuck and fight. And it's like the real world, only without the confines of one apartment.
It really sounds like you've watched more than just a couple episodes. I'm just saying.
I did not say I only watched a couple.
Okay.
I said I have not watched
all of them. Okay.
And I certainly didn't. I didn't see the first 4 seasons, whatever.
Right.
I actually really like this show on Bravo called Below Deck. It's a reality show about people who work on a yacht and serve rich people, and it's just kind of fun, a workplace reality show. And then when that season ended, this Vanderpump show came on, and I ended up watching the first 1 or 2, and I found myself going, why? Why do you think you're like, they think they're Brad Pitt and Jen Aniston, but they're
Vanderpump Rules.
I can't. It's train wreck. I can't stop watching.
Fair enough.
You're probably going to be all over that, like that Bush reality show that's been the BUSCH reality show that I keep seeing.
I don't know if I've seen
it's
this.
like the Bush family, the family of the
beer magnates or whatever, and it's
I might watch this.
And it's like dude and his wife and his grown up children, and they're always getting into parties and I don't know about fights, but it looks like there's a lot of partying and sex having.
Drinking, yelling.
I went to.
Sex
There's actually
they do the sex.
Yeah,
they're allowed to fuck on that show.
Who hasn't answered
Good
us?
question.
Anybody not answered?
Have
us?
we all answered this
I
question?
believe so.
I think so.
Okay, on to the next one.
My question would be, or actually it starts off as a compliment or what have you, but one of my favorite niche bits about the Sins things was actually the conversation with myself.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Especially the ones where it has the Jeremy in a cowboy hat that no one really seems to want to acknowledge exists. But I guess my question would be if there's a scenario where those might come back one day.
Yeah, actually, I would love to make those more. It's a lot like music from behind in that it's just more intensive. Okay, so just by way of explaining, I have some form of ADHD, whereas I can't focus for more than 15, 20 minutes at a time, and I usually at that point get up, go whatever room my wife is in, and talk to her for 3 minutes and come back and work. So writing Sins, it's easy to do that 20 minutes at a time. But if I want to make a conversation video, I have to write the script. I can do that in bits and pieces. Then I have to memorize the script. so that I know both sides and every beat back and forth. That takes a good couple hours. Then I have to set up the camera, film one side, hope I don't fuck anything up, then go over, change clothes, and film the other side, hoping I don't bump the camera even 1 millimeter or the whole alignment will be off. And basically, I end up losing a whole day, day and a half every time I make one of those, which sounds like no big deal or what have you. But, we've got 2 Sins videos on the main channel every week and 2 Sins videos on the TV Sins channel. And we got a podcast record, and I got to narrate, and it's just not easy to find the time. Those have always been my favorite videos to make. And I know that Dicer has always secretly wanted to be in one of them with me. So what I would really like to do is do another one and just really go full bore. Have like me and Dicer on one side, and me and Dicer on the other side, and maybe another me and Dicer outside the window playing disc golf.
Did you ever have a moment where you did the second part of it and you fucked that up?
Yes.
Not knowing that you had fucked it up?
Yes, there have been 3 times that I got into editing phase to realize that all my footage was useless because either I bumped the mic just a tiny bit, or I bumped the camera just a tiny bit, or the timing just isn't working out right. Mm-hmm. Because the way that I do those, I'm assuming everybody knows, I do one side just for memorization, and I know where the breaks are because I've memorized the whole script. Then I go to the other side, and I put an earbud in of the first take, and I just respond I have a hoodie on so the camera can't see the earbud, so I can hear the guy I'm dialoguing with when I'm filming the second side. But the timing doesn't always work out well when I get it into the editor. Mm-hmm. But it is not like anything else out there, and I would really love to get back to it, so thank you.
Hi.
Hi, Jeff.
I'm Jeff, like Aaron just said. We kind of talked last night a little bit about this, Aaron, but I recently rewatched Manchester by the Sea because it was in your bracket, and it's a great movie. I love it, but it made me think of, to ask you if you could think of a movie that you love or have great admiration for that you would be okay never revisiting again, because that's one of them for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It always comes down to the movies like that, right? It's always some sort of emotional hot button type of thing. Mm-hmm. That's why movies like 12 Years a Slave are hard to watch over and over. Schindler's List are hard to watch over and over again because of the horrible. And I don't know. Schindler's List is one of those that I think is easy. I don't know why it's easier to watch. I think it's because you don't see so much like horribleness all the time in that, even though there's plenty of it in there. But yeah, it's always something like that has some sort of really triggering issue or whatever that's in there. So yeah, it's those type of movies all the time.
Yeah, I would say Requiem for a Dream is a good one for me, just because I fully appreciated the art of that movie and that he sort of had to give me the visuals he did to make me understand what it's like for a drug addict, maybe. But I was so uncomfortable watching that entire movie. I've never gone back to watch it again.
I just don't think I liked that movie. Like, I don't even think it's. I appreciated it, but I'm not watching it again.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
I tell you what, man, I'm not going to watch Contagion anytime soon. I love that movie. We were talking about this the other day. Steven Soderbergh did this, right? And it's got a lot of people in it.
Yeah,
it does.
It really does.
It really does.
It does.
But and it's an excellent movie. But I ain't going near any of that stuff.
That's so
soon.
different than me. I literally the other night I put on 12 Monkeys and Children of Men, just like all apocalypse movies, just because of everything that was going on.
Just to prepare yourself.
Just to get in the mindset.
Lovely.
My go-to answer is always the Passion of the Christ. That's always my go-to answer.
Yeah.
I really do love that movie. I think it's incredible. But I don't need to see it again. It was rough. It was really rough.
I feel like this is a bit of a cop-out because I talked about it last time I was on SinCast, but Dancer in the Dark is mine.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so it's a really, really beautiful thing, and I have a huge love of Bjork and her sound and the music in it is really captivating. But no.
Boy,
I can't go back to
Lars
that one.
von Trier, his entire catalog could go in this answer.
Yeah, for sure.
Except for Nymphomaniac Volume 1.
How many times?
right.
How many times?
Yeah, that's perfect, right?
How many times, Barrett, have you watched Volume 1?
More than twice.
That's right.
Since I've had a child, stuff like Prisoners would be one that is amazing, but no. I don't think I could go put myself through that again. And it's long too. Like it's like you're not just spending like an hour and a half. It's like you're spending almost 3 hours about where this kid gets kidnapped, and it's terrifying. It's like my biggest fear.
Stuff with
that
kids.
My kid's gonna get
that's
taken
definitely a
from me.
subcategory of this question. Is stuff with kids.
Yeah.
It's
I thought your biggest fear was bees and drowning.
That too.
Drowning and bees.
I have a lot of fears.
Yeah.
You know what else about Gemini Man that I hated? There's this whole scene where the evil Will Smith has to find out if if the hot girl has a bug on her, like that he's been bugged, and so he makes her take off all her clothes, and he just looks at her real close.
Okay.
I'm just saying it was really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then later on, they find a bug in her mouth, so he wouldn't have found it that way anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like that House episode where Michelle Trachtenberg was in there, and they found the tick in her vagina.
Yeah. Yep. It wasn't Michelle Trachtenberg though. It was God. Who was it?
Who was Tick Vagina Girl?
Yeah, exactly. Tick Vagina Girl. But no, I know you're talking about.
I don't remember that episode at all.
Okay, maybe
Oh,
it's
it
not
could.
like that.
Yeah.
But it made he has to find her. He has to kidnap her in
What?
an elevator.
It was Michelle Trachtenberg. Okay.
Yeah, and it turns out
there was another episode with a model that had it wasn't tick in the vagina, but it was something like that. Yes, that's what it was, and it. You're right, and I can't remember who her name is known. I don't know who.
Cindy Crawford.
Cindy. Okay, yeah, Cindy Crawford. Mm-hmm.
I just want to say, growing up in Missouri, and then like in the summertime, wearing shorts, going out, I come back home, and my mom would always be like, "Hey, now I got to check for ticks, and you have to check your vagina." And that was a real fear.
It's a real thing.
So you saying that, I just immediately started like, I don't know. Thanks for that.
Well, that's the
Appreciate
thing
that.
is that House
That's
is
a real
convinced
concern.
It's brown tick flu disease or whatever it is.
Yeah, what is that? Lyme disease.
Lyme disease. Yeah. He's like, there's a tick in there, but they check her whole body, and there's nothing. It's in her vajayjay.
It's right up in there.
I mean, if you're the tick, it makes sense, right? I mean, a monthly feast. It's just.
Jeez, Lord God, what is wrong
All right,
with you,
everyone.
man?
Sorry.
Thank you.
And that's the end of the podcast. We can't recover. There's nowhere to go from there.
So
we'll
sorry.
refund all your money.
I'm so sorry.
Someone make a bloodshot joke, quick.
I think we need one more question. Anybody got?
If you could pick one to use in your day-to-day, what is a vehicle from a movie that you would use?
Batmobile.
And
sorry.
Just to spark your creativity, my pick would be the spaceship from Arrival.
All right.
The spaceship.
Wow, yeah, you just expanded the.
Oh,
the
yeah, 'cause I was
universe that
thinking,
way.
like-
Yeah.
Ooh.
Immediately, the improbability drive from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy comes to mind when you're going to go there. That would just be mind blowing. So yeah, I'll just throw that out there. You guys can go.
You know that ship from The Martian is pretty fucking rad.
Yeah, but you gonna go to Starbucks in that thing? I always, from the time I was a young preteen, I always wanted my own kit from Knight Rider or the motorcycle from Street Hawk, which was a blatant Knight Rider ripoff with a motorcycle in place of a car. Either one of those would be right up my alley. Yes, sirree, Bob.
The ship from Flight of the Navigator.
Why are you all doing spaceships?
Because it's a possibility. I mean, you can fly then. Plus,
I want to punch that kid in the face. I do not know why. But that kid in Flight of the Navigator, even as a kid, irritated the shit out of me. I have no idea why. I don't know. I just want to punch him. I can't explain it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's one of those where I
wanna
always
get
wanted to
him
go
and the
inside.
kid from Mackin' me and just like smack him.
As stupid as it is, I want to be in the invisible car from James Bond.
Oh.
Nice. Yeah.
So that everybody can see what pants you have on.
That's right,
when
man.
You're driving by.
It's completely dumb, but it was in which Pierce Brosnan was that in?
Die Another Day.
It was Die Another Day? Yeah.
There's also one in Megamind, so you could have
they
the
all
one
run
from
together.
Megamind.
Oh, you were trying to return the favor to the
You see what almost just happened
pay
there?
it forward.
You see what almost just happened there?
I did.
If there'd been a bunch of liquid in there, you just passed it on.
Yep.
And then he's going to get me.
Yep.
You started it.
Yep.
I was very adamant about
But really, honestly, any Aston Martin from James Bond.
That was actually that's what I was thinking because I'm not a vehicle person. Like I'm just not a car guy.
And then Aaron took the improbability drive. So
that's
Well, the other one I was thinking was the elevator from Willy Wonka would be fun to travel around in. So.
You gonna take that Starbucks?
Sure.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Exactly.
Just push the Starbucks button.
I'm just saying, I want to go to Starbucks, so I want a car that has wheels.
How about those things that they ride around in Dune? How about those?
There you go.
Those things.
I always liked the speed bikes in Return of the Jedi.
Oh yeah, that's a good call.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
That's
speeder.
That'd be fun.
That's good.
The dirt bike and the dirt bike kid.
Yeah.
The dirt bike and the what?
The dirt bike kid.
Was
Peter
that Peter Billingsley?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And I remember at our one of the Hickory Hollow theaters back then. I think it was the Mall Theater. Dave, actually, you remember this, right? You could. Yeah, we filled out a form to try to win a dirt bike, right? Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes, we did not win.
Sadly, did not work out.
What about the BMX from the Ralph Macchio starring Rad?
Oh yeah, Rad.
Doing some deep cuts here.
Or a vehicle that can transform. That would be smart. One that can be all of
Like a
those
transformer?
Yeah.
What was it?
Ooh, like the car in
Bumblebee,
the Fate and the Furious.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, if you had the DeLorean from Back to the Future, you could at the end of one, you could float and you could fly over the traffic and all that.
Actually,
stuff.
it's in Hobbs and Shaw. They have the transforming car.
Oh, okay.
They also have the ability to talk to each other between cars
right.
while they're driving.
Without any earpieces or microphones.
Sometimes they're even in front of the other
Your
car.
question has now led to more Fast and Furious.
All of our brains are Bluetooth. Did you not know?
Yeah.
I'll pick the Eagles from Lord of the Rings.
The Eagles. There you go.
They will always show up just when I need them.
That's right.
But not the
Just
beginning
saying,
of the movie.
some hot actor she likes.
What? To ride.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have time for one more.
I don't think of women as vehicles.
Hey, after Aaron, I can say just about anything.
That's definitely true.
I opened up the
All
gates.
right, one more.
We're going to do one more.
Surprise.
Go for it.
I think we
round.
need
You're
one
right
more.
there. Go for it.
So, is there anything from like your non-movie lives that completely takes you out of a movie? For example, I know way too much about AV systems and technology. I have seen someone pick up a Samsung remote and turn off a Sony TV.
Oh, yeah.
And after that Marvel movie completely died to me. So,
That's a good question.
does anything like that take you out of a movie?
Anything psychiatric will take me out because Hollywood has such a terrible grasp on psychiatric treatment, stuff like that. We were actually in It Chapter 2, which Chris and I just did recently. Of course, like as soon as Henry Bowers goes crazy in the psychiatric facility, all the other patients in there go crazy.
Yeah.
I worked in a psych hospital for 3 years or so, and that's not how it happens. It's not if one person starts climbing the windows, not everybody goes, oh, freaking out at the same time. So that stuff pisses me off. Stuff like the entirety of Split, except for James McAvoy's performance, like pisses. Anyway, I could go on.
I'm glad I don't have your knowledge because I think there's a lot of movies I would not love anymore, and I would be very sad.
Mm-hmm.
There was one in the Love Actually video that struck me as something that really annoys me, and it's DJs and radio stations and stuff. A lot of times, the way they act around the microphone is just completely not like a DJ.
Yeah.
They'll sit back from it. They'll just look wherever.
Well, and movies don't know anything. They don't know how to incorporate podcasting because they make podcasts and movies are like radio shows.
Right.
Like on Tusk, for instance, the whatever his name is, I can't think of his name.
Justin Long.
Yeah, Justin Long. Yeah, that's a good point.
My mom was an OB nurse, and so one of the early origins of Cinemasins was watching a medical show with my mother. And if somebody, like, anytime anybody gives birth in a TV show or a movie, like, she would always be like, oh, that's not how it is. But I do remember she praised ER as being one of the more realistic in the ways it presented not only births but medicine in general.
Which makes sense.
But Crichton was a doctor,
Yeah.
so that makes sense. Just for me, I think maybe the rare time a movie goes into a movie theater, anytime like there's a preacher's family on a movie, it usually rings a little hollow to me. But I'm not really an expert in anything, so...
Yeah, like most of the things that I know are from movie theater stuff, and you bring up movie theaters. I'm going to bring up something else here in a minute, but the one in Scream 2 that the beginning, the opening of that where there's this big premiere for Stab, and like everybody is acting like it's a fucking rave in the movie theater and everything.
We could have had like 70 cents just in that open, and we had a lot.
Yeah, there is no way. I mean, I have never ever. I mean, even the rowdiest crowd has never been that rowdy as they are in Scream 2. The one that took me out immediately, and it was before I even saw it, was Lucy, because the whole you only use 15% of your brain thing. And it was like something that was already widely debunked, but they're making that the premise of their whole movie and everything. So that was something that took
also,
me out.
you tend to pick up a lot on New York geography, like blah-blahing, like whether it's John Wick or I'm not even New York, but any city you're familiar with. Like we've talked a lot about Ferris Bueller, but specifically because you lived in New York, and like you talk about how big Queens is, and people just act like Queens is like a 4-block neighborhood.
Yeah, coming to America, they're okay. So if they took a plane, they were likely in Queens at the time, and they're like, drop me off in Queens. and the guy's like, and it should take me somewhere basic, and it's like, and it could be anywhere.
Give me a beer on the way.
Right. And they're always like very close to the Brooklyn Bridge everywhere they are. Doesn't matter if they're in Harlem or not. They're close to the Brooklyn Bridge because they always want to film something on there. San Francisco's the same way. I mean, we took the drive across the Golden Gate. You have to do some shit to get to the Golden Gate.
Do, man.
And it doesn't matter where they are in San Francisco. Suddenly they're on the Golden Gate. So.
Well, yeah, it saves stuff that's filmed here though, because if you watch that movie, A Thing Called Love,
they fucked that up.
They have no fucking clue how to get around Nashville. Like one of the things they do, you would have to like literally drive through the Cumberland River, like the way they go. I mean, it's just.
I like that movie
nuts.
though. I've seen that movie probably 6 or 7 times.
Yeah, same here.
It's not a bad
we
movie.
classically, and Percy Jackson had that one where they took the wrong way to Centennial Park, but.
I've also heard with nurses, the main thing though is that no doctor sets an IV. Oh. And you see that all the time, like in shows, and a lot of nurses will tell you they wouldn't know how to, even if they had to.
Well, that's another thing, by the way. If you inject something into somebody's neck, they don't immediately go to sleep. It takes a little while for that shit to work. We used to have to, every once in a while, sedate patients if they were getting self-injurious or something like that. And it would take fucking forever for that patient to calm down. You'd stick them with the thing. First of all, not jab it into their neck. You put it into their arm. It felt like an hour afterwards. So that always pisses me off when I see somebody like immediately. It happened in Dr. Sleep, actually. The girl comes up and stabs it in the neck, and I was like, that's it. So, that's annoying.
Another thing I hated about Gemini Man.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, the guy with the huge bee fear and deathly bee allergy doesn't have an EpiPen with him at all times. Like, how is that? I just
not only that, he's a fucking super spy assassin.
Right.
He should be ready for anything.
Especially
bee allergy should be top on the list.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
Danae, do you have anything about mazes and monsters?
No. Mine is more like I just notice more and more how women are portrayed, and I don't mean to sound like the woke person, but it really does bug me sometimes where how often it'll be like almost like a fake empowerment moment, and then she immediately gives her power back to somebody else and kind of takes that back seat again in a way, or even like turns over her decision making to somebody else. So I just noticed that stuff more and more. There's one we are sitting right now. I can't talk about it because it's not coming out yet, but when we get back to the BTS, I will be talking about it directly because it's a movie where the woman is the central character, and the very end it completely falls apart, and like we're so trained to just cheer for it anyway because it feels good at the end, but then when you start asking questions or thinking about it, and what the mind fuck of it all is that I've only recently started to become aware of how it has affected my life personally, because you just don't think. I did not think about it. I've just been entertained by stuff, and it's like, oh shit, I'm like conditioned and stuff. So that's starting to really piss me off and takes me out of movies because I'll start to pay attention to just these little cues of how we're influenced really significantly. And maybe it's because I have a girl now too. Like I was playing a game with her the other day. We're playing it with a castle, and the whole thing is like there's the king in the castle, and then she was playing with Minnie Mouse as her little character, and we're running around playing or whatever. And she goes, "Oh no, I've fallen down. Help me get up." And I was like, as the king character, I was like, you're a strong enough individual. You can get up on your own. Because, like, we're told, like, oh, I'll rescue you. And then the guy comes over and is like, you can do it. You're powerful. You can stand up. And she's like, I can do it on my own. And I'm like,
I think I noticed. I think having a daughter definitely does that, because I notice more things, like, just in her daily life, and just because my focus is all on her. I don't think I was ever like awful. I grew up with sisters,
and I also want to say it happens with guy stuff too, and I do notice it a lot with the whole premise about like what a man is supposed to be, and so there's just this interesting line watching all this content of just these stereotypes or these archetypes that are really played to, and I find that to be interesting, and also talking about just it doesn't define you. Like, men don't have to be stinky and smelly and gross,
and women be shopping.
That's right, women be shopping.
That's right.
We need that credit card.
All right, well, that's going to do it for the Sin Week SinCast. If you have any comments, go to SinCast presented by Cinemasins on Facebook. We're also on Cinemasins Twitter, Music Video Sins Twitter. We're also on, we have SoundCloud. We're also on Discord. If you want to get on Discord, you can get on the Reddit page and find a link on the right side, or you can go to the Facebook page and private message me, and I will give you a link there. Where can we reach the other people who are in this panel?
Twitter at Danae Says.
Okay.
Yeah, at Aaron Dicer on Twitter is a perfect way to reach me.
At Sam Loomis 13, and then on Twitter, and then of course we do the Behind the Scenes podcast together every week.
Yep, that's at Cinemasins BTS on Twitter.
All right, well, that's going to do it for the Sin Week SinCast. It's Chris Atkinson, Jeremy Scott, Barrett Scher, Jonathan Watkins, Aaron Dicer, and Danae Hughes. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
Thank you, guys!
Thank you.